You're watching the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Now it's time for the Brent and Austen Show.
Or maybe it's not. With a white screen. They're messing around with your buttons again, aren't they, Hamby? Hamby sits in for a half hour. They're screwing around with the buttons. We have all different people doing this show, from Bleak Bills to Kim Corner to
Kim Possible, yeah.
Kim Possible. She's got many nicknames. Nick in the daytime. Doesn't Nick have a couple of them?
Nick in the daytime, Nick at noon.
Nick at noon, yeah. Hamby,
Tennessee Nick.
Tennessee Nick.
Garth Brooks hater Nick.
Meanwhile, I'm so disappointed your voice is even being played right now. I
Sorry,
thought
man.
you were going to be late.
Yeah,
this is when we're supposed to be.
There we go. There's the Jags. So OTAs. We'll get a Doug Pederson update in just a couple of moments. But yeah, I'm so disappointed. I thought I was going to start this show with like, hey, Austin's a couple minutes late, taking a little extra time on the vacation weekend.
No, it wasn't that.
I get a text. It's like, hey, sorry, I've got a stray dog situation.
Yeah.
Well, carry on. Please do explain.
Yeah, basically, came outside, getting ready to go to work, get in my car, and there was like a dog in the lawn. And you can kind of tell, like, if it's like been a stray for a while, just kind of judging by its energy and stuff. If it kind of just, keep to my own self, or if, it's somebody's pet and it's a little lost. And that's kind of what I gauged just by its energy, because like it looked super confused, and I kind of like, and it didn't have a collar on it either. So I'm like, I don't want to get bit, obviously. So I'm trying to be very precautious. I'm like, hey, what's up, little man? And I don't even know what kind of dog this was. It was like a little fur ball.
Oh, so it's a small one.
I mean, I would say like a medium-sized fur ball. Yeah, don't know. I mean, I'm not like super into dog breeds. Some kind of collie, I would maybe guess.
I'll believe you.
Okay, yeah. Go and take my word for it, because we're kind of from the same boat. We don't know dog breeds, Brent.
If you put up like a thing where I think there's like a game show right now. You got to like put up a picture.
Yeah,
you got to say what it is, whether it's a tool or a meal, where it came from, or a dog breed.
Yeah.
Wouldn't do well in the dog breed.
Unless it's a lab, French bulldog, or a poodle. That's all I got. Yeah. Everything else, we're probably failing.
Not even sure I'd get those right.
Yeah, for sure. So I kind of was like, just cautious, didn't want to scare it away, and it was a really sweet dog, and but you could just tell it was confused and not knowing like where it was. So I'm like, all right, well, let me try to walk around a little bit and see if someone's looking for it. Nobody was looking for it. So then I'm like, wow, okay, I might have to be a little late for work here. But thankfully, one of my neighbors came home. I explained the situation, and they're going to like watch after it, because I don't want to just like leave it there in case someone swipes it that's not theirs, and then who knows. So
we don't really know the situation. We don't know.
No, I mean, basically, in true Austen fashion, I passed my problems to somebody else. I said, here, take it. I have to go to work. But no, I mean, they're really
it's
sweet.
Not a bad way to go.
No, they're a really sweet couple I live next to, and they're like, oh yeah, we'll watch after it, and maybe it'll be there when I get back. Maybe, hopefully, somebody will come and claim it. I don't know.
We can figure a happy ending, hopefully.
I should have brought it in. We could put it on the stream. I wasn't even thinking.
I mean, you want to go viral.
That's
put
my
the stray
bad,
dog
man.
on the stream.
Why didn't you say something then?
Not only that, we could kick Aspen out. I mean, this could be really good. We could have dog wars.
Yeah, but as far as I know, because Aspen's a husky.
Yes.
A wolf, essentially, in Jacksonville. Like, who knows how Aspen was going to react to this pup? You know, like, we don't know.
But I think Aspen's lost all her wolf traits.
She's a very, it's a she, right? Or is it yeah, she's a very sweet dog.
Yes.
Not a wolf anymore, Brent.
Not a wolf anymore.
Not a wolf anymore.
I don't look at Aspen and see wolf.
No, I mean, if you're taking her to Alaska for the dog races, she's just chilling shotgun. She's not going to be in the snow trying to carry everybody.
Watching.
Yeah, she's watching it.
What was that thing called? Remember we talked about
the Iditarod, yes.
Iditarod,
that's the thing. The thing is called the Iditarod.
Hey,
it's been run for like 60 years. They make movies out of it. People win money. Yeah, that's what the thing is called.
Brent spent like $50 on the subscription. Did you cancel that, by the way? That's how they get you.
I think I did. I got to double check now that you said that. $49.99, probably the worst money I spent this year, but it's still at least.
It's still coming out of his checking account. He hasn't even noticed it.
I'm not going to lie to you. It's not a monthly thing. It's an annual, so I have time.
Oh, good.
I did check that day. I left that thing up for like a couple of weeks, and I would watch it once in a while. So you can't say it was that wasted money. I've spent worse money on stuff that I haven't seen.
Yeah.
Or like an old Mike Tyson fight that lasted 7 seconds. Like, I mean, what's better? I mean, I got 2 weeks out of the Iditarod subscription.
Whether it's the Iditarod, ESPN Plus, the Athletic, man, we have it all.
I hope everybody had a good weekend. Boy, and we got a lot to catch up on. A bunch of things. Do you know? Let's start with this before I'll tell you why Hamby's even in the chair. He's not supposed to be.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not Wednesday today, Hamby.
Well, and he's even going to go on Thursday this week because we're going to do a different show Thursday with our Committed to the Uncommitted program after the show. So we're really jostling around the schedule.
Brent and Austen won the legal battle. Welcome back home. What's up, Hamby?
What's going on, brother?
What's going on, man?
I don't think we've won that legal battle.
Oh, no, not yet? Okay.
Not yet.
Still in the courts?
That's right.
Okay.
And poor Rob, he will be here on crutches, but he's here. So before we get to he wants to come in and talk baseball because we have two big baseball topics.
Yeah.
So he's very selfish. Selfish ambition is what I call it for the kids.
Yep.
And so he wanted to be a part of the show, which is fine by me. Jump in.
Yeah.
I told him all the time, man, while you're sleeping or before you sleep, join us from home on the show.
Sure.
Get on that Ninja link and jump in.
Yep.
Matt, people really have no idea what I'm talking about. But but before we get to that, we got to start with the Jags. I mean, Jags are OTAs and Jags back at it for week 2. And right now that's a little bit of the kind of the underplayed part of the story or a little subplot of the story. We'll show you them on the field. Doug Pederson and Press Taylor talking, which could be very interesting. First time we've heard from Press Taylor, his thoughts, and I'm assuming the guys will ask him. I hate this, by the way, that the Jags are right in the middle of our show. Like last year, it was 3 to 6 when I would be doing shows, and the Jags locker room was around 3:30, which is the latest I've ever covered the Jags having a locker room under. And Doug Pederson did it later in the day, just the way their schedule was. So I could never go to the locker room. Well, now we're 10 to 1, and it doesn't look like I'm ever going to be able to attend a news conference again. So sorry, all the good questions will just come from here.
True. And do you think Doug Pederson's relieved now, too? Because, don't have to ask about who's calling the plays anymore. Brent's not in the building, thank God.
I feel like the Rocco has picked up the pace for me, all right? I mean,
carrying
last
the torch
time
a little bit.
he has actually was like, hey, Brent's not here.
Yeah.
Let me ask you about this.
Yeah.
Somebody's asking Press Taylor today about the play calling.
Brent, I think what we need to do is, because we have a giant cardboard cutout of you and that pearly white smile, we put that cardboard cutout in the press conference, and then we can have like a video set up, like the ninja you mentioned, and then you can ask a question through the cardboard cutout and really get after Doug Pederson and Press Taylor.
That would be awesome. Some AI.
Yeah, some AI. And have that giant, Action Sports Jags 24/7 logo right on top of your head. Boom, let's do it.
That's AI Brent.
That's AI Brent.
Can you see that camera? You can't see it? You keep talking. I'll go get it.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've had this cutout's been from like the OG show, from day one, if you will. And I feel like, it's been in here serving a purpose, but why not, get the most out of it? Oh, wrong camera, everybody.
Which camera?
Wrong camera, everybody. Why not have a more? Now, once again, cross that logo out in the microphone there because we don't represent that company anymore. But besides that, put a giant fat tattoo right on that forehead, man. The Action Sports Jags 24/7 app. Let's go.
That's good there. That's good.
I mean, no disrespect, Brent, but if that guy's talking about who's calling the plays, that's even more intimidating than you, like at a press conference.
By the way, right now, like we can do some fun things with this. So right now, that's over. This is the Brent and Brent show right here. We can do this. This has got to be a bit here.
Oh, man.
When you're not here, this is where we just found something.
I can't even take it seriously.
We just landed on something.
Well, now this makes me want to get my cardboard cutout too. That I still found. That's still in the garage. I uncovered it. I have it.
You took it home.
I will bring it in tomorrow. I'll bring it in tomorrow.
We'll just have a whole show where you guys just go live from somewhere else and we'll just take the studio shot with
crazy.
your cutouts.
Yeah.
Awesome. By the way, if you really go through this shot right now, there's a lot going on.
2 Brents and 8K is what I see.
Yeah. And we got 2 basketball hoops.
Oh, yeah.
But they're on the same side of the court.
Yeah.
Got a lot of lights. Got Pac-Man down there. We got a Jets jersey. Do we explain the Jets jersey? That's from when the Jags got the number 1 pick.
I think people have seen the video.
All right. Yeah, they probably have. All right. Back here. That's freaky. But I think there's something there. I just think we found something.
I think you got to bring that thing to the press conference, man. I really do.
Those teeth are white. I wish my teeth were that white.
They're great, man.
I can't believe the cardboard cutout lasted this long.
Right.
Like, I thought somebody would be painting it by now.
Yep.
Yep.
And let me, 1 second.
Oh, sorry.
Sure. Yeah, no. Hold right there. Let's cover it. There we go. Now we're good.
Now we're good.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's not like it's the other station in town. We can still support ESPN 690. It's okay.
We're all good. It's all love.
All right, get us back here, Hamby.
Oh, all right, just go and cut me off. I see how this is going today.
Yeah, this is the show without Austen as much as possible.
Oh, good, man.
We got a lot going on. All right, so anyway, the Press Taylor play calling could come into play. We'll see what comes out of there. Marcel Robinson's down there. But what a weird story coming out yesterday about the Jags.
Not good.
And this is Brandon McManus, who was obviously released. He's now with the Washington Commanders. And this is a story that goes back to the London trip with a sexual assault allegation from two women, flight attendants, on that plane, on that trip to London. And I mean, this is kind of out of the blue. I actually was like, is this a real story? Like, I had to double check to see where this was coming from when I saw it. But listen, you've been on many a team flight. I get asked this question from a lot of folks in the newsroom today. I was on that flight. But there's you're not sitting. I'm not sitting next to Brandon McManus, first of all. Not sitting even in like the same kind of department, if you will, of the players. You'll see players once in a while walk back to the bathroom and stuff on these team flights, but that's about it, right? I mean, there's a lot of separation between, and this is not a defense of coaches and everybody else, but this is the reality of it. The front office, coaches, people, they sit up front. Then there's like kind of a separator of sorts. I mean, not fully separated. You can walk up there. But then the players in the midsection, and then the back, it's like all the rest of us schmucks. Like, we sit there. So, I mean, there's no, like, I can't tell you what's going on a plane. Sometimes, actually, even on a fun note, you'll hear commotion or something. You're like, hey, that's kind of going on. Or people have asked me, hey, how fun was that ride home? It's like, nah, they're tired. Like, even after big wins, everybody's like exhausted.
Yeah, you just came from a car accident, essentially, if you played in the game.
There's really never been crazy flights. I thought there would be too. I was like, oh, this is going to be awesome. There's never that kind of energy on a flight. I mean, once in a while, you get a little bit of I think after the London wins, you actually get a little bit of a bump because it's still kind of in the daytime and the body clocks and all that stuff. But again, very low key all the time on these flights. I mean, and so to see something like this, I don't even know how this would take place or where would this take place. And that's not a defense of McManus. I'm not saying it didn't take place. I'm just saying it's a very odd thing with 150 people on a flight to take place.
Yeah, so just so we kind of set some of everything straight in these guidelines real quick. So this was on the flight back after the game, correct? Do we know that, or was it to the game, like to London?
I thought it was.
I assume it was after the game, and they're coming back to Jacksonville. But like
it was to London.
Okay, so it was to London.
No, it was to. That's what I thought it was. So yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, it was to. Which, by the way, also I would just say this about this. Sorry to interrupt, but the reason the Jags go on Thursday night is because they want the players to sleep. The best thing for your body clock is to sleep, which is tough to do, by the way, at like 7:00 at night. But and then land. When you land, it's like 8:00 in the morning in London or 7:00, whatever it is.
Yes.
And so you sleep on that flight, and then your clock is at least a little more in line by the time you get up. They go right to the practice field. That's why they do it the way they do it from a scientific standpoint. So. But it's hard to sleep at 8:00 at night, our time. But that's what they encourage you to do. And I mean, it's a doozy of a flight to begin with, right? I mean, it's a long 8-9 hour flight. And so most people are trying to rest on the flight to London.
Yeah. So listen, I've never been on that flight to London, right? I mean, I've been on plenty of flights, obviously, to away games, but not the London one. And after games, sometimes would guys, we didn't win a lot, but like, would guys drink and sometimes, party a little bit? Sure. Yeah. I mean, I've seen that firsthand, but it was never to the point where like, you're because especially like, even if you win, you got to keep it within reason, right? Because there's other people on the plane. You want to represent yourself in a positive light. The last thing you want to do is having a party like you would at the beach bars in the back of a plane, right? So like, me personally, I've never seen like it get out of hand or like flight attendants get involved in things like that. Like there's still a mutual respect, and like people have to understand this. The flight, like a private flight with NFL players going to a away game, is a lot different than your typical flight that you would fly just with your family. Yeah. Right? Because all of a sudden, like, no, we don't have to put our phone in airplane mode. We don't really have to wear our seatbelts if we don't, like there's it's a lot more just freewheeling and not like so much, you have to follow these rules, right? So it's a little more laid back when you're in the NFL. And that's about as much as you can get. Like, you're not, once again, when I was on a plane, we weren't partying, doing shots, things like that. Now, according to the lawsuit, they made it sound like it was a giant party in the back of the plane.
Yeah.
Right? Now, once again, I'm under the context of innocent until proven guilty, but I'm not going to sit here and say this makes the Jaguars look bad. I mean, it does. Let's be honest here. Whether, we'll see how this all plays out. We'll see if there's a settlement. If there's a settlement, well, then that doesn't look good either. But right now, the Jacksonville Jaguars are in a national spotlight, and guess what? It's not for a good reason. And that kind of rubs me the wrong way a little bit, because how many teams a year do we have going to London? I mean, there's 4 games in London a year?
Yeah.
So 7, I guess, because the Jaguars play there twice. So you have 7 teams a year going to London. I've never heard of any other team in the NFL have issues about going to London. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I missed something. But I've never seen another team have these issues. The Jaguars have had one confirmed issue, and this was a long time ago under the Doug Marrone era in London. This wasn't on a plane. This was in the city of London. And, I don't even know all the details of that story again, but I remember it did not make the organization look good. I think some guys had to sit, if I'm not mistaken, for, what took part in that time. And now, once again, not saying it's guilty yet. We'll see how this all plays out, but you're at least being accused of something for a second time on an international business trip. It's not a good look.
Yeah, that's a good point. I kind of didn't even relate it to the old London story, but you're right. Listen, these things are never good for teams, and they get wrapped up into it. And part of the suit, I think, alleges, obviously, which was handed to ESPN by their lawyers, claims that the Jags had no oversight and things. I don't know how if there was a complaint right away, maybe there was something that could have been done. I don't know any of that. I just shared, I was on that flight. I didn't see anything, first of all, like I've been asked by our news department, and I also never heard anything. What happens a lot of times is you'll hear of something going on if something was going on. Mm-hmm. Now, this time it didn't. Doesn't mean it didn't go on. Just this time it didn't. So I think it's pretty interesting. The thing that's interesting to me is in this suit, they say they allege the flight, as you said, quote, quickly turned into a party as McManus and several other players disregarded the flight attendant's personal space, air travel safety, and federal law. The lawsuit also claims that McManus recruited 3 other flight attendants to the party, passed out $100 bills to encourage them to drink and dance inappropriately for him.
So can I just say one thing quick? The fact that it's him but other players, once again, we'll see what happens, but that's not a good look.
Yeah, and I just have to say this part.
Okay.
Like, these things are not big. Like, there's not a lot of room for parties on the flight. Like, it's a big thing, but not like I think people have visualizations of private charter flights of being like a golfer might take, or maybe even a basketball team with 12, 15 guys or 25 people where there's a lot of room. Like, this is a party of 150, probably 160 people. Like, it's jammed in there, man. Mm-hmm. Like, there's not party levels. Like, the only place I've ever seen players congregate on these things is a little bit back in our area, back toward the end, where there's a stand-up kind of space that you can kind of walk around a little bit. Like, I'm talking 3 or 4 feet wide, all right? Not very much. And I've seen like a player or two like play cards back there sometimes. Yeah. But that's like the only thing I've been on a lot of these flights now, and I've never seen anything else. So I'm trying to I don't know where and we're seated a little bit differently, by the way, on the London flights.
Because it's 2 stories, right?
Well, it's the same plane. It's 2 stories now for the Jags, even on their regular flights.
Okay,
it's the same plane. It's Atlas.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to say yay or nay. I'm just telling you what I could see, would see, thought to see, and I don't remember anything from that time being of like commotion of a party. Like, that's a pretty weird description from a party. Like, I think like, hey, there's hooting and hollering going on, and you can tell.
Yeah.
Right now, do we have our earbuds in? Do you have headphones in? Do you have all that stuff in? Absolutely. You're trying to do your thing to get some sleep or watch a movie, or you're in your own little world. Mm-hmm. But it's a pretty interesting allegation. I thought it was also interesting that these are like the first charter flights with the Jags for these two women that worked and that are making this allegation. Where does it end up? I don't know. Doug Pederson said this today, by the way. Let me just get the quote. According to Marcel, who's there, he said, saw the article that came out, disappointed in the news. It's a legal matter at this point, so that's all I can comment. When I read the details of the article, it was disappointing. And he also would go on to say they did not release McManus due to anything legal. It was performance-based, or didn't re-sign him because of that. So I don't know where this ends up. It could end up in a settlement. It doesn't look great, obviously, for the Jags. I don't also know. I'm going to defend the Jags here in this sense. I don't know how you police something like that if I don't know there's a commotion going on, and I'm back on that part of I don't know how anybody up front would know. Yeah. Now, you said something interesting. What did other players participate? Why aren't they named in this? Or did they take exception to it, and would they be able to be kind of firsthand experience? Because one thing in here, a detail says the Jane Doe 2 says one of the other players looked kind of uncomfortable. They didn't name anybody, but looked uncomfortable or ashamed of McManus's behavior. So that's kind of, it's all we know. It's the article. It's what it says. It's the reports. And I know our news department is working on more of it. The Jags aren't going to comment much on it. We just heard Doug. They didn't comment. They know what's going on. The Commanders said the same thing. The league said the same thing. And now we'll see what the courts say about it, where this goes.
Yeah, now we just got to wait and see. A few things about the situation, though. Like, once again, innocent until proven guilty, and I'll support that. I do not like the fact, though, that the Jaguars have been tagged in this as well. It's not just, a lawsuit against Brandon McManus. The team has a lawsuit as well. And, my biggest fear going forward here is the fact that if something comes out, and once again, I don't know how you prove any, whatever. We'll see how this all turns out. But my biggest fear is that these flight attendants went to somebody, explained what happened, and they kind of fell on deaf ears.
Nothing was done. Yeah.
Because if that comes out, that's going to be a horrible look for this organization.
Where they would be more.
And that's my biggest fear of what could happen from this.
Yeah. And not only that, Austen, I would say that, and also for the flight, right? Yeah. Obviously, the Jags are a big client of Atlas. Yeah. So did the people from the flight part of it that you would report this to, if the women did report to, did they do anything about it? Right? So there's actually both sides of it. Because why? Again, this is like a year later. Almost not a year, but it's like 9 months. It's a long time later. And to even recall, I'm trying to sit there and recall myself, and I'm not even in this thing, right? So I'm trying to recall myself, okay, what was that flight like? How is that different than the other flights? Or what? And you know what I remember from that flight? I didn't have my normal guy sitting next to me, and the other guy was bumping me the whole time.
Okay, yeah.
I was sure. I'm not annoyed guy on a flight. And that time I was kind of annoyed guy on the flight. I remember thinking that was the only thing I could remember from that flight. So, and I will see where it goes. Again,
I hope it's dropped. I hope nothing becomes of this.
Yeah, my guess is this ends up being either dropped settlement. I think they said they want to take it to court. I think was what this says in the article, but it's I don't know if this gets to court. Yeah. Seems very he said, she said for a lot of it, right? Yeah. Unless there's somebody else that steps up and can identify or video or something else.
And that's the biggest thing too, right? Is nowadays if something's wrong, usually it's on camera, right? So if that comes to light, that could be a bad. Listen, this could go really horribly, or it could be a case of a money grab, and it's going to make these flight attendants look bad. I'm not saying anybody's guilty. I'm not saying anybody's innocent. Like I said, we'll let it all play out, and we'll see what happens. But once again, Jaguars in the news cycle right now, and it's not for a good reason.
Yeah, again, Jags on the field, OTAs. I do want to talk a little bit more about this in a bit. Not necessarily. Those are the details of the situation, or at least what we know from the reports. And again, Action News, Jax, CBS 47, Fox 30, trying to learn a little bit more. But the Jags kicker thing is amazing these last few years. It's amazing. So I want to talk about that part of it. Is that a little bit why the Jags drafted a kicker? Be hey, we got to reset this position. This, if you really think about since Trent Baalke's been here alone, what this position has been. And we'll get into it. From Josh Lambeau's stuff to now McManus stuff. And by the way, a lot in between of not being able to find a guy who could kick. Yeah. It is. I wasn't joking. It's real life. Like I said, you could do a 30 for 30 on the Jags kicking situation the last 3-4 years.
You're not wrong.
That's a position, by the way, and you know this. What the hell are we talking about kickers for, right? The organization's like, really?
Yeah.
Like, can you just go kick?
I know. And then you have Jason Myers, who was here, who was in Seattle, and kills it.
So I want to talk about that part of it a little bit later.
Yeah,
Hey, there's a couple other big storylines. NBA, of course, Celtics move on. We'll get to it. We know where that series or NBA Finals looks like, where it's headed. But Hamby really came in just to talk baseball. And
talking baseball.
I was thinking of this the other day. Maybe like Ronald Acuna Jr. goes out with an ACL and he's done for the year. Hamby, how much does it change who they are? And do you now, like as a Braves fan, be like, okay, they can't win the World Series?
I mean, y'all been struggling regardless, but go ahead, Hamby. Can't wait to hear this.
Yeah. I mean, it actually just confirms that we are going to win the World Series, so that's no problem. Because the same thing happened in 2021. And we were 41-41, and Acuna tears his ACL, and then we win the World Series. So does it mean we're not going to win the World Series? Absolutely not. Does it suck that just one of the best players in baseball is out again? And are you concerned that he's going to become the Derrick Rose of baseball or the next Mike Trout who can never stay healthy? Yeah, absolutely. It's just a major talent that the game's going to miss, but at the same time, guys hitting like 245 with plenty of steals, but like 3 pumps,
home runs.
He's not replaceable by any means. I would never argue that, but we got guys.
Yeah, that's a pretty confident look. I mean, listen, I think here's the thing. This is a loss for baseball, by the way, because Ronald Acuna Jr. is one of the most exciting players in the game, if not the most exciting player in the game when he's really going well. Mm-hmm. And so this is really too bad. It's his other knee, which now becomes a problem long-term potentially for him as a player. You start to worry. ACL is a very unique injury in baseball. Like this is not football. We see it all the time. Yeah. Baseball, you don't get that. I mean, Tommy John's that injury for a pitcher, right? Or even an outfielder sometimes, but not this. Mm-hmm. These soft tissue injuries, but ACLs, man, Austen, they don't seem to happen. You get one on each knee. I don't know what that does to you as a baseball player looking down the road.
Well, and just the way that the whole injury went down. I mean, I watched it a couple times, and like it was nothing crazy. Obviously it was a non-contact injury. He makes a sharp cut, gets back to second, and then he can't go, and just. It is what it is, and you can kind of tell like right away watching that replay. Like I think he knew right away. I think everybody kind of knew right away like, what was going on because he stayed there for a minute. Yeah, it'd be one thing if we're talking about just like a DH power hitter who your only job is to hit for power, hit home runs. It's another thing when we talk about Acuna, who is good at speed's kind of his thing as well.
Yeah,
I mean,
it is.
He's good in a lot of areas, but he relies on speed as he should. This guy's a freak athlete. And now, it really begs the question, coming off of both ACLs, will you ever feel 100% again? And listen, I've never torn my ACL. I've had my fair share of injuries, my fair share of surgeries, but one of the biggest things is having the confidence then to go back out there and try to perform at 100%. Like the rehab is one thing, rebuilding up the strength in your knee is one thing, but it's another thing mentally to get over that hurdle and say, all right, this isn't going to happen again.
Hamby. I mean, he's the guy. He's kind of the centerpiece of the organization. I mean, he should be. They've got a lot of good players, to your point. But it's interesting you're as confident as you are. That was a little bit of lightning in a bottle now in 21. I get what you're saying, too. But, I mean, they made some great moves at the deadline, which might put some more pressure on the front office. Can they go make another move at the deadline if needed? Mm-hmm. Because that's where they really won that World Series, right? I mean, what they did in August and September was remarkable for the Braves. And you're right, the Braves are still very talented, but holy cow, the Phillies have played really well, right? Yep. And there's a lot of friction now in that NL with the Dodgers and other teams.
And, this is why so many opposing teams believe that at some point Alex Anthopoulos, the Braves general manager, did some kind of deal with the devil because every move that he's made over the last 4 years has seemed to pan as gold. He's got the Midas. So... Strider goes down in the first 2 weeks of the year. Let's not forget about that. That's a Cy Young candidate, the best pitcher. But Ronaldo Lopez and Chris Sale, 2 guys that nobody was really in on, come in and do absolute jobs. I mean, Chris Sale is probably top 4 in the NL for Cy Young voting if it ended today.
It's crazy. He's pitching so well.
I think he's like 7-0 or something like that, or won 7 straight starts, or one of those two. But, I mean... you got, whenever you have an injury like this, guys are going to have to step up, and there's not really anybody in our lineup 1 through 9 other than Ozuna who has played up to what we've just seen in the past. Like from
Matt
Austen, struggling. Riley he just came back last night. He's been out for 2 weeks and was struggling before that. Albies has been fine. Harris has been way down. But it's also going to help that when a guy goes down, you insert a World Series champ and Adam Duvall into the everyday lineup, who at times can still rake. Like, Adam Duvall is nowhere close to Acuna, but there's about 15 teams in the MLB that would take Adam Duvall as their everyday starting right fielder. And you slot Kelenic in the left field every day instead of platooning the two, and you just keep going.
I mean, obviously this looks like once again, there's a lot of baseball left to be played and everything. Let's get to the All-Star break first. But right now, Philly's playing at a really high quality. You're 50 games in, though, and like you said, you said you have a lot of players that aren't really producing right now, Hamby. At what point do you go, okay, this might be who we are, or hey, let's give them some more times? I mean, like I said, you're 50-something games into the season. When do you start to turn like, okay, this is actually who we are, we need to make some moves, or we trust in the players that we have, even though one of them just went down, we'll be okay?
Yeah, I'd probably give them 2.5 weeks after the All-Star break.
Okay.
Because I think a lot of our players get a lot more leeway than others would, given their track record of past seasons, like Austin Riley, MVP candidate, Austen. Like, those guys at some point are going to turn it around. And the All-Star break, for whatever reason, it really can't be explained necessarily, but you see season splits before and after on both ways. Guys who rake in the first half, who just go cold right after the All-Star break, and vice versa. If they take the All-Star break, you give them 2.5, 3 weeks after that, and obviously that's right when the trade deadline is, so it's beneficial in that regard. But if they can't turn it around by then you're really concerned. But up until that point, you're resting in the fact that these guys are too good to not turn around at some point.
Well, they're 6 games back, and by the way, it feels goofy to look at the wild card race, but they are 4 up in the wild card race, so 6 games back is kind of a lot right now, but Philly just played so well. Mm-hmm. And who knows? Maybe these guys raise their level of play now, the guys that you're talking about, in the absence of Acuna. All right, another baseball topic so we can take a break, some 40 minutes into the show eventually, and but let you go, Hamby. Angel Hernandez, this is the guy you really wanted to talk about. It's wild. Oh, yeah. Did they force him to finally retire? I didn't read a lot of different stories other than the tweets on him, but there's been so much noise about, okay, we're done. Did he just do it, or do you think the league kind of urged him, all right, we're done with you being the headline, man, and your performance is really not that good? If you don't know Angel Hernandez, he's been the guy that people think is terrible for years. He's the poster child for bad umpiring, officiating, whatever. In fact, I just tweeted, I don't know if there's another person like him. Umpires and officiating in general can be a polarizing job. We know that, right? But we don't usually identify, can you name a just bad official in basketball or football? You like Hockley or whatever because of guns, right? you have your guys that because of certain calls, traits, characteristics, but not a lot of them because they just stink. Or everybody thinks they stink.
No, literally, of my 5-year career playing in the NFL, I could only name literally one, ref, and that was Ed Hockley.
Yeah,
because
everybody's talking about it.
Yeah, and I've asked him one time, dude, what are you getting? Are you on something? And he literally laughed about it. He's like, nah, I just work hard. I'm like, all right, man, I'll take your word for it.
Funny you asked him.
Yeah, I had to, man. I'm because it's so noticeable. But no, I mean, no disrespect to umps or refs. I don't associate names with them. I just simply don't.
I think Joe West is one that comes to mind.
Yeah.
But that's strictly in the field. He got a really bad rap, but behind the plate, he was actually one of the best. That some people are probably surprised to hear that. Statistically, his percentage behind the plate was really good, and he was probably a top 10 guy behind the plate. But there was just so many gaps in the field that led to ejections and some of the stare downs and moments. But as far as Angel goes, it adds to the story that he's the only guy that's sued Major League Baseball claiming racial discrimination for why he wasn't giving playoff games, and they came back and just said, no, your poor performance and you choke in pressure situations I mean, it doesn't take long. You go to back to 2018 ALDS. In the first 4 innings, he had 3 calls overturned at first base.
Yeah.
You know how much of a bad look that is in postseason baseball? It's just like out. Bang Bang plays at first base. He missed 3 out of the first 4.
Dude has an entire highlight film dedicated to all his missed calls. It's like it's like 10 minutes long.
It's unbelievable.
It's like half an episode of Seinfeld. You can just go and watch this guy make bad calls.
I mean, John Boy has single-handedly made a career off of Angel Hernandez.
Yeah, on John Boy Media, by the way, on social media. I'll get into some of the reactions on the Jeff Passan thread are fantastic. I shared them with you guys. I'm not going to do it right now, but we'll come back to it later because it's unbelievable. But I will say this, through all the noise, there had to be a time where this guy was good, and pretty good. These guys are the best, or supposedly the best or whatever it is. And he's been, I think, a big league ump since 91.
33 years.
Now, you get to the point where you keep guys too long. We do that in sports. We do that with players. We do that with coaches. I don't know when that was. I don't know when things got really bad. I don't know if he's really been bad for 10 years. He was always bad. It's a hard line to know. Also, social media probably hasn't helped his cause, right?
That's
true.
He's
become almost like this joke, this meme. That's what he is. And so I don't know where that was. But at one time, I think that this guy probably had to be better for the game than I think his legacy will leave it. In essence. And I also do think, listen, I know my eyes are different than they were 2 years ago. Maybe his are too. Like, I don't know their parameters and if they get tested or whatever else, but if you've been doing something for 33 years, guess what? You're not as quick as you used to be. Your eyes probably aren't as good as they used to be. So I think it's pretty clear to say he wasn't the same. He's not as good enough as today as he was 15 years ago, 25 years ago, 33 years ago.
I mean, do you guys remember when he tossed the guy who's saying, take me out to the ball game at the Wrigley? Like, that was at least 10 years ago. I mean, that could have been just one bad game, and he was pretty good at that time. I don't know. But, he's never been completely out of the spotlight. That's for sure.
I think he towed the line of he's so bad at times that you worry about the integrity of it and where's it going. And I'm not telling you like he's betting on it. I'm just saying, listen, we should be better than this. But at the same time, he like these kind of stories, I've always argued this, and not everybody agrees with me, but the fact that we do talk about know an umpire, know Hockley because of his look or whatever, says a lot about the sport, says a lot about people know who you are. It means you know the sport. You can talk about it, debate it, have fun with it, have conversations about it. Like, these people like this are not necessarily bad for your sport, and especially in baseball where they've kind of needed some of whatever conversation about the sport sometimes, unless you're a diehard. Like, I think people outside the sport of baseball that don't watch every night know who Angel Hernandez is. And at times, I think he actually can bring an element to the game that normally wouldn't be there. And for the diehards, for the players, that's not really a good thing. But it goes to the old adage of any news is good news or any press is good press, right? And at times, I think it's worked that way with Angel Hernandez.
Yeah, I got one for you. So a lot of these big league umpires will have umpiring schools in the offseason.
Yeah.
Angel is so bad that if he started one, I honestly don't think prospective umpires would want to go.
Yeah.
Hunter Windelstedt's got a good one, a big one.
A lot of them are right down here in Florida, in Orlando area.
They would be like, no, I don't want to learn from Angel. He's too much of a meme. I don't want a certification that says Angel Hernandez.
It would go two ways. Either it would be a huge hit or it would be nobody.
Right.
And I don't know in today's world which way it would go. Angel Hernandez, Ronald Acuna talk, right for you, Hamby. Thanks for hanging around.
There we go.
I mean, you said baseball. Maybe Bobby Gass from the Brewers just doing his thing, a.k.a. Robert Gasser now. Might be one of the best pitchers in all baseball. But I'm tired of being a Brewers fan, and I'm tired of getting pitchers that nobody wants. We get them in Milwaukee, and they become Cy Young candidates. I'm tired of it, Brent, and I'm tired of getting 2 games on the Red Sox as well. Thank you for that, by the way.
Yeah,
I mean, we can talk about how I just fleeced somebody in a fantasy trade about an hour ago.
Did you get him? Did you get Bobby Gass? Oh,
no,
okay.
but he had a spot to fill after the trade, and he picked up Gasser.
Oh, yeah. It's the real deal, Brent.
There's a couple of guys out there in relief land Oakland's guy is unhittable. I'm going to get to watch him, by the way, in a couple of weeks.
There you go.
But, yeah, I mean, we got some good young arms and people. Like, I don't even know it because
you don't need to. It's all right.
Yeah, I don't play fantasy.
It's okay. Don't worry about it. Just give him some time. You're going to know who he is eventually.
Got young and old resurgence. So you said Sale. I can't believe Sale for the first. I mean, I guess that's healthy Sale. That's why he's pitching well. Finally, can he stay healthy will be the key. All right, Hamby, get out of here. We'll see you on Thursday. Thanks for jumping in. And Brent and Brent show will be back on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. This is a terrific promo. Back to the football. We'll hopefully show you a peek at OTAs. Marcel Robinson is there. What did Press Taylor say about calling plays? What did he say about Trevor Lawrence? Let's get back on the football train when we come back here on a Tuesday. Hope you had a fantastic holiday weekend, everybody. And welcome to June almost. Everyone loves a good game night. Here you don't have to be the host. You don't have to clean up. They bring the food and drinks to you. And you can watch whatever you want on the big screens. It's more than a card room. It's a night full of fun with friends. Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and now the newest location here in St. Augustine, right off 95 at exit 311. A brand new clean room, a full bar and menu, my favorite sushi in town. And I love the fries too. You don't have to just play poker at Best Bet. That's why I come over here to the table games and play one card poker. That's a pretty good card and a win. One card poker is like war as a kid, you against the dealer. And this isn't the only fun table game to play. A friendly staff, a lot of fun. It's a good night out at Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and the newest location in St. Augustine. You can be a serious player or a novice. It doesn't matter. If winning equals fun, you're a winner every time at Best Bet. I'll save you a seat, and I'll see you down here at Best Bet St. Augustine.
Oh, man. It is that time. I love being outside, but it is just so hot. Oh, my gosh. I cannot be outside. Well, you know, it doesn't have to be. As a matter of fact, I've got the perfect solution for you to be able to stay outdoors and not look like this guy.
GW Outdoor Solutions has the solution that will help you create areas of shade with their automated retractable awning. As the summer months inch closer, the high temperatures will be right there too. With GW Outdoor Solutions, go from scorching to cooling in no time with one simple push of a button. These innovative shade solutions not only provide protection from the sun and rain, but also add style and functionality to your home. Let GW Outdoor Solutions transform your backyard into paradise. Check out gwoutdoorliving.com for your free estimate.
I like to say everybody has a story, and sometimes we're a part of other people's stories. That's the case here at Nimnick Buick GMC. My family and the Nimnick family. We've purchased 6 different vehicles from Nimnick Buick GMC. Maybe you're in the market for a truck. Well, let me tell you about the GMC Sierra. I absolutely love mine. I've had a couple of these. This one's a 2020, but right now on 2024 GMC Sierras here at Nimnick Buick GMC, there's special financing. A year ago, we purchased a GMC Terrain for the kids. Financing rates as low as 0.9% for eligible buyers on Terrains and no payments for 90 days. Looking for used instead of new? Buy a used car with the Car Bravo program. Nimnick Buick GMC certifies all makes and models. Let the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville take care of you and your family. Come on out and see the showroom, meet the fantastic people, or shop online at nimnickbuickgmc.com. Nimnick, your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC, we are professional grade.
Thank you for making Action News Jax the best in Jax and Folio's Best of Jax 2023. Best TV station, Best TV newscast, Best TV morning show. Chandler Morgan voted Best TV anchor. The Chief, Mike Burrish, voted Best meteorologist. And Brent Martineau voted Best TV sports anchor. And while you're on the go, Best news website and Best local blog, The Burrish Blog. Thank you for making Action News Jax local coverage you can count on.
It's a new logo, new branding. With Bold City Heating and Air, it's an old school approach. One of the few locally owned and operated air conditioning businesses left in Jacksonville. It's hot, Florida in the summer. You can't do much to avoid it, but you can keep cool with Bold City Heating and Air. It's every customer counts kind of service, from when these trucks have pulled up to my home over the last couple of years and when they pull into your driveway as well. From communication to pricing to the actual service, everyone at Bold City Heating and Air cares about you. You know who is coming to your house. You know they will be well trained. and they will respect your home. Air conditioning convenience at boldcityac.com. Stay cool while it gets hot. Bold City Heating and Air can help. Don't get caught sweating all summer. boldcityac.com, and they have financing to help. New systems starting at $110 a month and $50 off any repairs. Stay safe, stay comfortable with Bold City Heating and Air at boldcityac.com. Homegrown in your hometown.
When you think sports, you think Action Sports Jax, the official station of the Jaguars, on location for every game. But the most experienced team in town doesn't stop there. From high school football to the big events in the area, Action Sports Jax is always on. Now, we take that to a new level. Action Sports Jax 24/7 is around-the-clock coverage of the teams you love and the moments you can't miss. The best local sports in Jacksonville on Action Sports Jax 24/7.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Hey, welcome back here to the Brent and Austen Show on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network, and we're going to take you to Jags OTAs in just a moment, I think. Did you just hear something?
No, can I just say one thing?
What's that? There we go.
Hamby in the kids' corner. Did he just give like a state of the state of the team address because Acuna got hurt and saying everything's going to be okay? Like, did the Braves just pay Jason Hamby to come in here and assure everybody that they're going to be still okay for the season and win a World Series?
I've tried to tell Hamby that like he's not on the team. He doesn't get it. I've said we and our and everything else. Like he thinks he's part of the front office of the Atlanta Braves, and I can't stop it. I don't know how to police it anymore. I've told him, come on, what are you doing? But hey, taking a live look, or at least a look, I don't know about a live look at Jaguars OTAs, but yes.
I mean,
Hamby speaks for the Braves.
I thought Hamby was going to be here the whole time. I mean, welcome in, Bleak Bills now. Great to have you, man. Hope that foot's doing better. But I didn't know he was going to come in here for a segment.
Oh, that's all he wanted.
Give a state of the franchise of the Atlanta Braves and then head out of here.
He's like, he said, do you mind if I come in?
Yeah,
and do this.
Do you know what it seemed like? It seemed like no. a stock that is like failing, that just had some like allegations, and like the chairman comes up, hey, I assure you right now, this Bitcoin's gonna go back up. We're gonna be okay. I know there's a lot of bad reports right now, people getting hurt, but I assure you, the Atlanta Braves will still go to the World Series. Love you, Hamby.
It's unbelievable.
It's really unbelievable.
So hey, look, this is Marcel Robinson giving us a look at Jags, and by the way. That's not Best Bet Jacksonville. That's not where they're training. So if you get a chance to get that when you get a moment. But it could be sponsored by Best Bet Jacksonville. Not a bad thing.
I like it.
We were there on Friday and had a lot of fun there. But taking a look at Jaguars OTAs, we just saw Trevor throwing a little bit to Evan Ingram, down the seam, Mac Jones, C.J. Beathard. Somebody asked me a question the other day, like, hey, C.J. Beathard going to be on the roster in the fall? I can't imagine. It's going to be Mac Jones and Trevor,
I mean,
right?
Ideally, what you want to do, then you could like practice squad him, but he's gonna catch on someplace else.
I would think so, and you can save, I think, a couple $1 million now. It depends when or how much you'll save, I guess, whenever.
And they'll probably bring another guy for it because you want to usually have 3 quarterbacks on the practice squad, ideally. So they'll probably bring in another guy or some guy they already have. Exactly.
Yeah, but because I mean, the bottom line is you're gonna be paying a lot to your quarterback room.
Yeah.
Maybe they do. And it keeps. I mean, it is only like $2.5 million, which I say $2.5 million, but in the NFL, I mean, and they've got plenty of room.
Yeah.
So whatever makes it work.
Yeah.
Right. If they feel comfortable about it. Remember, those guys are tight. You want good situation.
I mean, I'll tell you what. Just watching that drill right there with Devon Hamilton, the back looks good so far.
Yeah, you know, Devon Hamilton was a bit of a story last week when asked Doug, and he said he looks more like the 2022 version.
Yep.
I think he's an interesting player, and so are those guys right there, right? Devin Lloyd and Chad Muma.
Oh, working on some alignment, Brent.
Hey, do you see different body from Lloyd? I mean, doesn't he look big? He looks like Greg Jones there.
Dude does look huge, yeah. It's a good call.
He looks really good.
Yeah.
I think he said he added 10 pounds, 10, 12 pounds.
Yep.
But doesn't he look like, is it because of the 33? He looks like Greg Jones.
He does look like Greg Jones. Yeah, face and everything, man. Yeah. Stature, dreads. That's Greg Jones.
Hey, man, he looks good.
Yeah.
He looks good.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see. I mean, obviously, I think this was by design, right? If they ask him to maybe do a little more on the line of scrimmage in terms of blitzing, in terms of rushing the passer, we know that's what he wants to do. That's what he was successful at in college. So hopefully Ryan Nielsen can take some of that and use it in his defense.
Well, this is going to be a fascinating peek now, and as you see Foye looking too, it's going to be a fascinating look to see if Devin Lloyd, who, you know what I say about a guy like that looks the part this time of year, by the way, he's always a very good-looking player.
By the way, cast on, are we cool with that? Is that okay? He's got a brace on his hand.
Is that on the left?
That's on his left hand.
It must be why he's got the jersey on.
Okay.
The red jersey.
Okay.
That will be something that gets asked about, I guess, next week now, unless it was asked about today to Doug. I'll have to go look it up.
I mean, the fact he's still out there leads you to believe it's something serious, but...
Yeah. He maybe dinged it up a little bit last week. Marcel's saying, yeah, that's the cast that he noticed it. So,
okay.
Off-season wrist surgery.
Okay.
I guess that. Did we miss that? Or is that new today, Marcel? You can tell us if that's new today. He's like texting. But
Ryan Nielsen says, get in there and try to hold the dummy. I don't care how your wrist is feeling. Oh, what, we just paid you? Yeah, go and hold this dummy a little bit with
did
that
I miss
wrist.
That?
I didn't hear about it.
Surgery? Huh. He had it last week, too, I guess Marcel said.
Okay.
We didn't ask him about that when we had him on.
Sure didn't. We're not doing our jobs, Brent.
Must have been a minor procedure.
You'd think so if he's at OTAs right now practicing. Brent.
Yeah. But that's why he's wearing the red jersey. But back to Lloyd, because I think Lloyd, I've said this many a times now here on the show, Lloyd is a big part of this, I think, of potential where to take the defense, because he's a guy that can be a rising player. And I think it's going to be fascinating to see if a guy like Ryan Nielsen can get him to that next level. So that's one thing. That's Ryan Nielsen and the coaching staff and the new look defense and the scheme and all those different things. But then the other part of that is what I see when I see a player that looks like he's added weight, looks like Greg Jones all of a sudden. And again, he's always been a good-looking
specimen,
athlete, right?
Yes.
But when to me, that shows he's motivated. He's locked in. He knows it's a big year coming up for him, which I like that. I like when the players have a little edge to them.
Yep.
As you take a look at Brian Thomas Jr.
Be still my heart, my beating heart, Brent. Oh, I didn't give him the ball, though. I just saw that motion, though. You like that? See how he started out in the slot? Hey, Brent, started out in the slot, went to the outside.
You're hard to have a conversation with right now. You're
Why?
getting too excited about every way that
I'm sorry.
moves.
Mr. Sunshine and Rainbows now telling me to calm down. Mr. Sunshine and Rainbows telling me to keep it within reason.
I will say, I tell you, man, I like the way Brian Thomas Jr. moves, though.
Yeah.
Like he looks like a fluid player. That's a good term.
Yeah.
For an offensive guy, right?
Yeah.
I can't get over how much I feel like I'm going with player comparisons today. Okay. I have Devin Lloyd and Greg Jones because of the way they look, number 33, whatever it is.
Yep.
And I said this last week, Brian Thomas Jr., man, he looks like Calvin Ridley to me.
Like in the motion right here, using two tight ends, motioning them over, both those tight ends at the same time.
Don't give away their secrets.
What?
Indianapolis might be
what
watching.
What are you talking about? I mean, everyone can watch this at practice. This isn't nothing... Oh, Brent, they went in motion. Indianapolis taking notes right now, you think? Come on. You think Gus Bradley is salivating at our talk show right now? Oh, I saw that.
They might be watching.
Okay.
He's in town.
Okay.
Or Robertson Harris getting some work in.
Yep.
Marcel Robinson showing us a little bit of everything.
This is fantastic.
Hey, that we just saw a guy that continues to be a mystery of where he's at, what he's doing. Is he on the team? Like
Walker Little?
Yeah.
What a camera job by Marcel
playing
right
left tackle.
Sure.
Right now with on this rep with Ezra Cleveland there, and obviously I'm assuming Mitch Morse at center.
Brent Stranger at fullback. I'm not going to make a big deal about having a fullback now because Brent doesn't want me to get excited, but I just saw a fullback in the backfield. I saw I formation, which we haven't really seen a lot in Jacksonville, but I'm not going to get crazy. Brent doesn't want me to. But.
Yeah, only a couple of these periods open in OTAs. Brandon Sheriff back with a restructured contract. There is Mitch Morse. He's a big dude now.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, that's a grown man. Mm-hmm. The Jags got grown up on that offensive line. I mean, you've got guys like Sheriff, who obviously is long in the tooth, but still has it. And then you've got Morse, who's been around the league for a while. I like that on my offensive line. Just got to hope they are able to perform. Mm-hmm. But I do like that.
Yeah.
Who we getting here? White, the receiver.
86.
You got a roster in front of you.
I mean, I wish I did. Yeah.
90 man. The 90 man in front of you.
Yeah.
So here's a look from Marcel Robinson, by the way, at Jaguars OTAs. A couple of things coming out of there. Doug Pederson talk. We're getting some sound queued up for next segment. You can hear from him and Press Taylor. Talked about the evolution and continued growth of that guy right there, Trevor Lawrence. And also the play calling, whatever it takes to win, was kind of the headline, at least that Marcel tweeted. I don't know the full context of it. We'll play it for you in a bit. But, Press Taylor, interesting news conference, kind of to get his thoughts on that, on Trevor, on this offense, what it looks like. Because I'm telling you, one thing that still hasn't been discussed a lot this offseason, because we don't know, is the fact that Trevor Lawrence said when he talked to the media about a month ago, maybe even a little bit more, that we've tweaked some things. This offense is going to look a little bit different. What does that mean?
Yeah.
We won't know until probably August or even September, but I'm fascinated by what that could mean.
Yeah, I'm very fascinated as well. Are we going to have, do you go a little more of a balanced attack? Because, listen, we're all infatuated now with this receiving core, with Trevor Lawrence making some progress, right? Maybe getting a new contract. So we're all infatuated with the receiving game. But, what we kind of fail to talk about sometimes, what is run game going to look like? And I get it. Like the pass game is a lot more sexier, right? I mean, run game, okay, you can only do so much in it. But I'm really curious to see, in terms of percentages. I mean, I assume it's going to be a pass-first team still with Trevor, but, you see Mitch Morse now coming from Buffalo, having played in an offense that was pass-first for a while. Then they switched coordinators and became more of a run-first oriented team. And once again, not going to over-exaggerate it, celebrate, get excited, but did I just see a reincarnation of the Wisconsin Badgers with Brent and Strange at fullback in the I formation? I really did. Okay, but I'm not gonna dive on that too much because I'm not gonna lose my mind here, Brent. But yes, the camera did show Brent and Strange at fullback, so I wonder if we're gonna get more power I kind of formations just to kind of pound the rock a little more, get those 3rd and 4th and 1s, but not gonna over embellish things, Brent. We'll see. I want to tell you right now, I'm keeping it together so well because the inner football guy in me wants to go to the rooftops right now, throw a parade, and say we're going high formation. We got fullbacks back, Brent, making fullbacks great again. But nope, got to keep it within reason.
Well, I think you should. What I wonder about because you joked about the fullback when I brought this up a couple months ago. Will the Jags steal some kind of concepts? Will they evolve from what San Francisco's doing? Because San Francisco's offense is all over the league now, and not fully with the fullback usage, but they do use it. But if you look at Houston, a lot of the same principles, right? If you look at some, the tree is spreading, that Shanahan tree, to get this, I think, a new wrinkle or new offense that we seem to have not figured out on the defensive side completely. Now, some of that people will say because San Francisco is so dynamic with all their tools. I get it. And you can now say that about Houston, but keep in mind, Houston didn't have the tools until they had the offense to prove they had the tools.
Yeah.
So I don't know which came first there. Did they just have the tools and we didn't know about them? Did they have the ingredients? Or did the offense make the ingredients look maybe even better than they are? We don't know that. And so I think that some of those principles, see, that's where I'm leaning. And again, the fullback thing might just be a little sidebar here of joke. But I think when you ask what is going to look different, what's going to evolve, can they take some of those principles? And by the way, what did the Jaguars do this offseason? They went and got the long ball guys. They got Gabe Davis. They got Brian Thomas Jr. We here in Jacksonville are used to that offense looking a little bit more horizontal. We like it to look more vertical, like to use the middle of the field a little bit more. Well, the Jaguars got some of that verticality in their offense by just the players, ingredients that they got. I wonder if they morph their Andy Reid, Doug Pederson offense into a little bit of some of the principles, some of the concepts of what we're seeing around the league like San Francisco and Houston.
Listen, there's a reason why Kyle Juszczyk in San Francisco is the highest paid fullback in the NFL. And there's a reason why, set aside from him and maybe Ricard, I think in Baltimore, are the only guys I actually know that play the fullback position.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're actually used. And when we talk about San Francisco, San Francisco, they're so dynamic, right? You have Debo, you got Ayuk, you got Kittle, you got the best running back in the league in Christian McCaffrey. You have a quarterback who doesn't turn the ball. You have a lot of things to like. And by the way, a pretty solid offensive line as well. But to me, the X factor and the unsung MVP of that offense is Juszczyk. Because, yeah, if you see usually a fullback in I formation or in the backfield, it's going to be a run, right? Well, with Juszczyk, it doesn't have to be because he has the receiving ability, number one. And number two, you can do a bunch of things with him. Now, once again, it's just one play that we saw in an OTA. Will we ever see Brenton Strange in the backfield again? Maybe not. But I think it does speak volumes to the fact that you have the opportunity now, if you're the Jaguars, to use Brenton Strange as kind of like a Kyle Juszczyk type and say, hey, Brenton, you're a pretty good receiver, right? You play tight end? All right, well, go block this guy here on this I play. Okay, good. It's a run. We'll keep you in there. Now let's go out on a little bit of a screen, or let's put you out on a rollout or something like that and see what you can do. Like, to me, I think Brenton Strange is a guy where you wonder sometimes, where's he going to fit? Obviously, it's the Evan Ingram show right now in terms of the tight end position. You can go 2 tight ends and use Brenton Strange, but this is a guy who I think, has to take another step here, Brent.
Yeah, he does.
From where you drafted him, from what expectations are said to be, you put him in the backfield a little bit, make him a fullback, make him an H-back, and you might have something.
Listen, I think players evolve. I think coaches evolve. I think that's kind of the fun of it, by the way, right? I mean, it's kind of reinventing yourself. I look at what we do in our business, right? I just said to somebody over the weekend, this is the fun. We start this new network, trying something new. You get rejuvenated about it. A lot of work that goes into it. You're not even sure where it's going to land, but hey, it's fun. I think we do that. I think people do that in their line of work. I think the Jags, as players, do that. Everybody's got a different kind of offseason plan, what you're working on. Look, we just talked about Devin Lloyd. He kind of reshapes his body even more coming into this year. But I think the coaching part of this can go 2 ways. I think you can be stubborn in what you do because you know it works. And it's a very fine line between straying from what you are and who you are to evolving along with the game. And so that's where this kind of stuff will be interesting to see if they said, we got to do things a little bit different. Did they take a hard look in the mirror? Because what one thing that's very, they can't get lost in the 8-3 and the collapse of last year is the Jags overall on offense disappointed. And it was even from the start. Even when they were 8-3, a lot went wrong by the end when they were losing. The defense went wrong, the tackling went wrong, the offense went wrong, the injuries went wrong, the everything went wrong. That's why you lose 5 out of 6 to end the year and collapse. But there wasn't this offensive explosion. This offense wasn't in sync. There were problems with the offense front to back last year. And so that makes you rethink things, reevaluate things. One quote I saw coming out of Press Taylor, I don't think I used Tank Bigsby enough. I went back and looked and said, we got away from him. We should have used Tank Bigsby more. So even in that one admission, what else did they admit? What else did they see? What else are they going to evolve into? I think I don't know necessarily if this is going to completely look like Doug's offense from the last year, last 2 years, last 5 years, last 8 years. Now, you can't totally stray away. You can't change completely. But the evolution of what he does here, I think, is pretty important. Just because the league moves, your players are different, and what you did for whatever reason didn't seem to work. So if that's an educational part of it, the teaching part of it, the schematic part of it, I don't. The emphasis part of it, I don't know. But we're going to see a little bit different approach, I think, one way or another, starting right now and into the season.
No, without a doubt. And this is a copycat league. And listen, I mean, we saw this years ago when the Wildcat was a thing. Miami started the Wildcat. What happened? Every team wanted to do the Wildcat then. So, teams are going to copy each other every single year in and year out. And I think right now, in terms of the offenses that you want to look after and copy, well, I think the 49ers are up there at top of the list. Everybody wants to be the Miami Dolphins. Well, no one really has a Tyreek Hill to be the Miami Dolphins. Right, so it's hard to mimic what the Dolphins do just because, well, do you have their speed? Well, no, you don't. Now, the 49ers, obviously, do you have a Christian McCaffrey? Well, probably not. He's probably the best running back in the league right now. But you can have a comparable George Kittle. You could probably have a comparable Brandon Ayuk. And I get Debo, what he can do is really versatile, but from a receiving position, you can maybe have a little bit of a Debo Samuel. So then what does San Francisco have that a lot of teams don't have? Well, it's the fullback position.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see what happens. It's funny. I thought you were joking about the fullback position most of the time, and then you kind of morphed into, we should utilize it. This is real deal. And you have the player that potentially, and that tight end morph. And
I'm seeing video now from from OTAs as well, where Evan Ingram's actually lined up as a fullback in one play. So, and this is like on, like everyone can see it.
Well, and here, hey, the one thing I loved about the Jags offense 2 years ago in 2022, and I don't know if I remember Ingram lining up back there, but Kirk would line up in the backfield sometimes. You would have, and again, I go to Agnew, and I know probably folks, you're not as high on Agnew as I am, but I love the fact that they use the eye candy and the decoy stuff and the behind the line of scrimmage stuff. That was stuff we haven't seen around here in a long time, or maybe since I've been here, or maybe ever. Like, we just don't see it. Well, they were mixing stuff up. And then with the Kirk stuff, they would line him up back there, then have a different set. Maybe he'd move out of there, or maybe he'd start back there. But you're creating mismatches is what you're doing. If they use Ingram in the same way, we already know he's a mismatch wherever he lines up. Mm-hmm. Now you're doing the same thing potentially, or you can utilize him in that fullback kind of role. But you're making defenses think. For so long, when you played for the Jags, when I've covered the Jags for many times, and this is what I really love about Doug Pederson, I can't remember too many times the Jacksonville Jaguars offense made the opposing defensive play caller think a lot. Maurice Jones-Drew was a dynamic player for them. You had to defend him. You had to play. You had to guard against him. You had to have meetings about him. But it was also, he's going to run the football most likely. You got to go tackle him, and he's a tough guy to tackle. The Jags, I think over the last couple of years and maybe going in this year, have okay, they could go A, B, C, D, E. Like, they do a lot of things. And by the way, we respect the hell out of Doug's mind. Watch out, he might get you. Which, again, goes back to Doug play caller makes more sense. But that's what I like about this edition of the Jaguars. That's what I like about this more offensive identity, the players that they have on, the versatility that they can do. And also, they have something that they also haven't had since I've been here, is they have a quarterback that can kind of do it all. Like, he can make all those kind of throws, whatever you want him to do. And I feel in year 4 has a very good understanding and relationship with the coaches about what they're trying to accomplish.
Yeah. And I look at this play from Trevor Lawrence, too, that somebody posted. Essentially, it's a 2 tight end formation. They shift both tight ends at the same time, and they have Evan Ingram at the fullback position, and then they have Luke Farrell come by the other side of the line of scrimmage. It's a play-action pass. They fake the ball to, I think it's ET. I can't really tell who's back. There might have been Tank Bigsby, but Ingram at fullback, and then they go deep shot to Brian Thomas Jr. Once again, like, do you take a lot into account because it's just OTAs? Like, I get it. You're trying some new things out. But I also think that OTAs are a great way to start establishing identity a little bit of what you're trying to do. You know, so this could be a trend. This could be a thing going forward where they maybe use different formations with 2 tight ends, use a fullback every once in a while, and just keep defenses on their toes. Like, I'm reminded back when I played in Jacksonville here, and the team that I hated playing against more than anybody was the Houston Texans. Because the Houston Texans, and Arian Foster was a great running back, right? Undrafted guy. I think he's undrafted out of Tennessee. The quarterbacks was like Matt Straub for a while, but they had great tight ends in Owen Daniels and Garrett Graham. They had Wisconsin boys, so I remember. They had great tight ends, but the thing that sucked against playing the Houston Texans year in and year out was their ability to sell play action. Because as a defense, you get comfortable when you know, okay, is this going to be a run or a pass? And some teams had to tell, okay, well, if they bring a fullback in, they bring 2 tight ends in, okay, it's going to be a run for sure. I think the Tennessee Titans do this a lot, right? I mean, you know what the Titans are trying to do with Vrabel and Derrick Henry? They're trying to run the football. It's pretty obvious. It was never obvious with the Houston Texans because you had to respect Arian Foster, but then, oh, crap, now it's going to be a play action. Defensive line gets on their heels a little bit, and now they have time to throw. Oh, Andre Johnson, go up and get it. And that was the team to me that always stuck out in terms of, like, they didn't have necessarily the best athletes. Like, Foster was good, Andre Johnson was good, but, like, in totality of weapons, the Texans didn't knock your socks off. But what they were so good at was selling play action. So my point is if you have now some formations, if you have some looks on this Jaguars offense where it's like, okay, are they going to run or pass here? Well, that's going to help Trevor Lawrence out. That's going to help the receivers out. And that's going to put the defense behind the 8 ball a little more.
Yeah, there's a lot to like about that kind of stuff and the mixing up. Now, we'll see. Again, there's closed periods in OTAs for a reason. They don't want everybody talking about and seeing this if everything's changing. What else are they doing in the closed periods, right? That the cameras aren't rolling in. And that's not just now. I mean, this is kind of installation, walkthrough, get reps kind of time of year, which also could change in the future, according to the NFLPA and a report out from Tom Pelissero. So we'll go there when we come back. But I guess we'll get a real good glimpse of this, not really until September. Nobody's going to just show their cards if things are changing at all, which, again, you'll go into week 1 of the season where the Jaguars are playing the Miami Dolphins, and I think there'll be a little bit of a guessing game about how the Jags have evolved. How are they going to use other people? What are they going to do? Every team has it. I think that's why week 1 is so weird in the NFL, because you don't really know what to defend, know what to look for. You can be surprised. Will we be surprised, or will it look the same? I think we're hoping we're a little surprised with some of the same stuff, too, because it's not like everything's been bad on offense. I mean, people are mentioning Travis Etienne. Heck yeah, get him the ball. But can you complement him now with Bigsby? Can you get more of the power game in there? Can you utilize these other guys in different ways where you have a lot of versatility? So there's a lot to look forward to on the offensive side. This is still an offensive team, in my opinion. Talk about the defense all you want. Has to be an offensive identity when you have Doug Pederson and Trevor Lawrence leading your organization. Let's take a time out. Brent and Austen show here on Tuesday to get the week going. It's a short week, so let's make it a good one. Might take you back out to OTAs. I think there's one more open period we can get to in just a little bit. And Marcel Robinson showing us what's up from Jags OTAs. The only one open to the media this week. They open one a week to the media. There's a look at the Miller Electric Center here on a Tuesday in late May in Jacksonville.
Going through changes, living so dangerous. They saying he famous. I keep telling myself I'm the best with the aim. It's saying it's criminal, they do the minimal. I'm just a general, keep it simple.
We all have our favorite spots in town to eat, drink, and have a good time. And once in a while, we try a new spot. This new spot will soon become your favorite spot. It's 1937 Spirits and Eatery in San Marco. Where else can you get unicorn fish? It was really good. They have local fresh seafood. Try a terrific burger or a Jack's Hot Chicken sandwich. The ambiance is perfect for any occasion. The idea here is to have fun, have a good time. Whether you're chilling out on the couches, cozying up to the bar, having lunch or dinner, it's a throwback experience. 1937, when going out to dinner was like going to a party. They even have a photo booth. Who doesn't like a good photo booth? We recently brought the entire team out to try it, and everyone said, I'm bringing my significant other here to try it as well. The new spot becomes your favorite spot. Make 1937 Spirits and Eatery in San Marco your new favorite spot.
What started out as better people, better projects just keeps getting, well, better. That's Better Exterior Solutions, ready to help you create a better outdoor experience. Check this out. Motorized pergolas are the latest in technology to transform your outdoor space. Beautiful day? Let the sun shine through. Summer rainstorm? These pergola systems close automatically to keep the weather out. From residential to commercial uses, Better Exterior Solutions has products customized to meet virtually any existing architectural structure. With retractable awnings, screens, and hurricane shutters too, if you want unparalleled quality and expertise, you need Better Exterior Solutions. Get a free estimate by visiting betterexteriors.com or calling 904-902-4999. Better Exterior Solutions. Experience better.
You trust CGC to make your water great, and now you can trust CGC with your plumbing needs as well. Fast, convenient scheduling, licensed and insured. A quick call away at 904-552-1242. You never know when you're going to have an issue with a shower, toilet, or maybe it's a sink that sometimes is easy to fix. All right, let's be honest. I'm not fixing anything. I'm totally staging this because when I have a plumbing problem, I call CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing. Trained professionals, transparent pricing, customer satisfaction. Small problem or even a bigger issue. Maybe you need a new tankless water heater or something a bit more intricate. The experts with 25 years of experience at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing can do it all. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. That's 904-552-1242 or cgcwater.com. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
The friendliest golf course in town, the Golf Club at Southampton. Local golfers have no shortage of options when it comes to picking a course to play here in Northeast Florida year-round. Yet time and time again, I find myself here at the Golf Club at Southampton. easy to get to off 210 in St. Johns County. It's family-owned and operated and renowned for being one of the area's most player-friendly. That's just one of the reasons we hold the Action Sports Jacks Dream 18 charity golf tournament here each fall. The Mark McCumber design layout is great for all skill levels of golfers, from the guys who bomb it a mile on the range to golfers like me who are just happy to put it in the fairway, which Southampton has very accommodating fairways. And if you need new clubs, come down to the pro shop. They'll fit you up and get you a nice new set, like they did for me. For more information on membership or to book a tee time and see for yourself, head over to golfsouthampton.com or call the clubhouse at 904-287-7529. The Golf Club at Southampton. It's the official home of the Action Sports Jacks Dream 18. Make it your home for golf too.
It's the place we party in football season with Jaguars All Access. Welcome to Spring Sports Brewery, everybody. Say hello to our guest tonight. That is Trevor Lawrence. You can bring your party or event to Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield any day and any time. Rehearsal dinners, corporate events, birthdays. Here at Strings, you can enjoy the inside area and the outside area. Good for any weather, good for any occasion. Watch the games, play the games, shoot some hoops. Beer? Yeah, they have that. Plenty of choices. And sure, this is a brewery, but Strings is also a restaurant, and the food is fantastic. A full menu made from scratch meals. And if you need String Sports Brewery to help with a party at your place, they cater too. Family, beer, food, sports. Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
Welcome back to the Brent and Brent Show here on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. My new favorite shot and segment here to come. Happy Tuesday.
Golf talk ahead. Get ready, everybody.
That's right.
Buckle your seatbelts.
Brent Martineau, Austen Lane. Good to have Bleak Bills with us. Rob, he's chained to that chair because he's got a broken foot.
How's the healing coming along there, Bleak Bills?
It's getting better.
Nice, man.
What's your diagnosis? Like how long until you can actually get on it?
I'm walking on it a little bit now.
Okay, with the boot?
With the boot and a crutch.
Now let me ask you this: why did you go with crutches when you could have had a scooter?
A little more pricey.
I don't know. It's pricey.
Is it really this?
And you have to call insurance up, and
Brent,
it's a whole process.
I can go chop down a tree and craft you some crutches right now. I can't make a scooter.
Well, I get it.
Scooters are a little more pricey. Man.
But I see people on the scooters all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm not telling you, by the way, that the scooters are convenient. The crutches are a pain in the ass, quite frankly, until you figure them out. And then it's okay. But, I mean, the first, day or two on crutches is like, what the heck am I doing? I'll just walk on my broken foot.
They need to make, some, Tempur-Pedic crutches, with some memory foam.
Yes.
Because,
why hasn't that happened?
The armpit things are just, they're way too, chafing and everything. And then you can try to take some, towels and, you wrap them around there and tape them up. And, that's a little better. But overall, man, crutches are not good. Hey, Bleak Bills, have you been on a golf cart since? Or do we need to kind of, ease you back onto one of those things now because you got a little
I'm
PTSD?
still off the golf cart right now. You're getting it hauled away and repaired pretty soon.
Okay, but do you think when that time comes, you get it back, will you be a little nervous and palm sweaty when you get back on there, or is it's gonna be all good?
No PTSD.
Okay.
Well, that's good.
I asked the hard hitting question.
You do.
when I got ejected from a truck, I don't want to go back in a truck again.
Especially in the fashion that you did.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah.
Have you ever done that again?
I almost
since?
died. No, I haven't. No, I haven't ridden in the back of a bed of a pickup truck since.
I'm trying to think of stuff that happens with food for people, right? You eat something, get sick, and you're like, I ain't doing
food
that
poisoning,
again, 'cause I remember throwing up or whatever.
Yep.
Alcohol probably has a little bit of that to you.
Sure. Oh, yeah. UV blue. We'll see you later.
Yeah.
Just the smell. Brent, you want to make me start
What's it called?
It's like blue raspberry vodka. This was way back in the day. I'm not gonna say how old I was.
The
because,
flavored stuff is the worst, right?
Yes.
For the post mortem.
Sure. Correct.
Not good.
Post mortem.
Not good.
Yeah.
Again, the sugary stuff, that sweetened stuff is
usually they say
not go well.
The better it tastes, the more you're gonna suffer for it the next morning.
Yeah.
So just give me on the rocks now from now on.
On the rocks is good enough.
On the rocks. Yeah.
Hey, speaking of hard-hitting questions, and that's it. Speaking of hard-hitting questions.
I love this segue.
Well, you did the hard question. I couldn't get to the alcohol switch here. I didn't want to make anybody look bad.
What are we trying to get to? I'm making a segue right now. What do you got? What do you got, Brent?
Well, we got Doug and Press.
Oh, yeah.
But we don't want to. This is not a Brandon McManus soundbite.
I'm washing my hands of this one.
Yeah, we got to be careful.
It's all you.
That is not where we were going.
Mm-mm.
But instead, let's get Press Taylor. I think is interesting here. We've talked about it a lot. Him on Tank Bigsby, Brian Thomas Jr., we got it coming up. But he was asked about the play calling. Do you care if you do it? And the context was pretty simple. Whatever it takes to win, I'm good. Which, great. That's what you'd expect him to say.
Yeah.
Then there was a little bit more of an elaboration here. So, Rob, if we can get Press Taylor talking about some play calling.
In terms of game planning, there was really no difference. Obviously we had Nick Holst was here as a pass game coordinator as opposed to Jim Bob Cooter, so there were some different ideas working our way through. But I thought, you kind of hit your stride as that thing gets going through the middle of the season. Everybody gets real comfortable in what the expectations are each day, each meeting, whether that's just coaches, players, whatever that is. And then in terms of play calling, it was really just, I was able to move around the call sheet a little bit of things that caught my eye a little quicker, but in terms of communication with coach and the other coaches on the headset, Trevor throughout the week, throughout the game, none of that changed necessarily.
That's a little bit of hindsight on what the process was like. I still think they know better than us how good that process was. So I think we've said this 100 times, and I don't know where you are. I know where the fans are. Fans are not on the press train. I'm not necessarily off the press train. This, to me, has very little to do with press. This has more to do with Doug. That's where I come from. You know it. We go all the way back to the combine with it. That's how I felt. That's why I asked the question. Then there's a second part of this, though. The process, to me, is important. You have a 25-second clock sometimes. You have a 40-second clock. You've got to get the play call in. Communication's important. You've got to get it to the huddle. You've got to get up to the huddle. You've got to assess the defense. You got to get a snap off, move people around. You've got to do a lot of stuff. And if that process is muddied at all because press is calling plays and Doug's not sure, and that's different than if Doug's calling plays and still communicating with press because he can veto it right away. Is that different? Was that different? Was there a 2 or 3 second delay sometimes? Was there sometimes a 7 or 8 second delay? Were you hurried to do things in certain spots because of that process? In my opinion, that has to be evaluated. They have to come up with an answer to that. And they could avoid that, in my opinion, too, because you could just go with the better play caller, the guy that's made a name for himself, the guy that already is the head coach, the guy that's won a Lombardi Trophy for doing it. Again, I say that with all due respect and love to Press Taylor. He might be fine. I'm a bigger fan of his than the fans are. But you also got a guy that won a Lombardi Trophy over Bill Belichick doing it.
Yeah, so listen, we're kind of in the same boat here, Brent. Here's where I stand with the whole play calling thing. I saw the best version of Trevor Lawrence. I saw the best version of the Jaguars defense. I didn't want to pull my hair out wondering, what are you guys doing? When Doug Pederson had his glasses on was calling the plays. Okay? Now, maybe you changed the preparation of 2022 and you went in a different direction and it had nothing to do with who's calling the plays or not. Maybe you just changed up how you scheme things. Maybe you changed up how you approach, the work week. Maybe Trevor Lawrence changed up some things. I don't know. All I do know is that the best this team has looked on offense is when Doug Pederson had the glasses on calling the plays. That's all I can go off of. So if that's the fact, and you sit here and say, okay, well, we had a lot of people. We had Jim Bob Cooter was kind of, giving some thoughts. So it was a collaboration. Okay, that's fine. Collaborate all you want. But I'm just saying, if it doesn't look different than it did last year, and we're still complaining about the same things, and Doug Pederson's not calling the plays, well then yeah, I'm going to get on my soapbox and say, what are you guys doing? Because that's all I have to go off of, Brent.
Yeah, which is fair. I think that's fair for us. They know more of the answers there. What you have to avoid, I think, in this industry, and you have to avoid maybe in life, is being too stubborn at times. We just talked about this with Evolve as as an offense, as a scheme, as a defense, as whatever. Move with the league, right? Nimble is a word. I don't know. I'm stuck on this word nimble. Somebody put it in my mind, and now I'm nimble. I'm using nimble like 500
Shock your
times
mock,
a
man.
day.
That was some shock your mock.
Maybe that's where it came from.
That one dude had some nimble feet. Remember? He was doing the ballets and everything we talked about.
I mean, seriously, man, I probably used the word nimble like 4 times in my life until 3 months ago, and now I'm using it like 3 times a day. It's weird. Like, why do we get stuck on words like that?
Yeah, Brent. I mean, what happened to moot point? You're on about moot point. Like,
was I?
Oh, Brent, you were a big moot point guy for a while.
You got to bring that up.
What do you mean? Oh, this is like
call me out.
This is
Way
back to the old
in
show.
day.
This is the back to the old show.
Yeah.
We're just
You
trying to
get
make it
stuck.
back. We're just trying to make it back.
Yeah,
then.
that's true.
I wasn't gonna bring up anything. It was great.
But that was one of your best coaching moves. Like you were. This is how coachable Austen is. I
you
said
got?
to him at one time, a few months in, I was like, man, I feel like you might be using whatnot a little too much.
Sure.
And I never heard him say it again.
Oh, Brent,
It was amazing.
I'm adaptable now.
You know that is still a buzzword for me.
What's that?
That whatnot.
Whatnot. Okay.
Like everybody says it. But people say it. It's not just like I would say, okay, maybe at that time you were like 32 years old.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a younger kind of late 20s, early 30s word. That's not it. Like I hear people of all age. Like now, I don't know why I hear it.
Yeah.
That's a word that I hear.
Yeah.
Obviously, moot point is not one that I hear. I just say.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
so we all have these things.
I'm not gonna lie. You said it one day. I had to Google it because I know what it meant. And I'm like, man, that sounds good. Because I didn't know what you're the first person I ever heard say moot point.
Really?
And then I Googled it. I'm like, yeah, checks out. Sounds good. So I didn't say anything because, dude, you sounded intelligent. I mean, you're intelligent as it is, but like you sounded good saying that. So, and yes, Brent, yes, I am coachable. You have to be coachable in this business.
It was amazing.
Right? Because this is, I consider the radio industry, or whatever, sports, whatever you want to call it, sports media, it's like the Wild West, man. It's like nature.
Yeah.
And it's not the biggest, it's not the fastest, it's not the strongest, it's the one who can adapt the most. So I'm trying to adapt. I mean, next week, Brent, if you come in here and say, hey, Austen, we have this fish and chips place that really wants to endorse us, but they need you to talk with like a British accent. Oh, man, cheerio. Here I am. Then it's going to be a British accent from now on. I'm willing to take it that far, man. I'm like the Daniel Day-Lewis of adapting.
I would not be surprised. It's one of the most impressive things.
There you go.
Early in your broadcasting career. And I'm not even sure I was right. I might have been wrong about it because everybody uses it. Like everybody says whatnot. Like and again, like I feel like I haven't heard my dad say it. And he's like 70.
I could have been on the Pat McAfee show by now. They're like, oh, we like this Austen, man, but he doesn't say whatnot enough. Doesn't really appeal to the use like we want him to. Never mind.
I mean, it's wild. But it was impressive. I do have to give you your props.
Appreciate you. And I wish you'd bring moot. I haven't heard moot point in a while, man.
Yeah, we'll bring it back.
Go and bring it back.
You know what I heard this week? Actually, can we take a look at OTAs? I think we've got them going, but I want to because we've got a small little period here to kind of see it. But it's kicker. We're going to go back to the kicker. Nice job, Marcel Robinson.
Brent, come on, man. No one else is doing this. Go with this here a little bit. Let's talk about it. Yeah.
Did you know that he's even on the roster? Because you kind of forgot, right? Because they released the kicker, and then they draft a kicker, and you're like, oh, wait, he's still on the roster.
Well, let me ask you this real quick, and then we can get back to just...
We're working special teams.
Yeah, but how much pressure now, like, when you draft a kicker, and what, 7th round, 6th round?
I think it was the 7th round.
7th round. I mean, like, I guess it can be a throwaway round with all due respect to 7th rounders out there. But, like, is there pressure to say, hey, we got a guy in the draft, now we got to see him through? Or is it just like, if Riley Pederson comes out, does his thing, we're all set?
My bad, he was a 6th rounder.
6th rounder, okay.
Now there's more pressure because he's 6th and 7th. I actually do think there's a little bit more on the 6th round kicker than guy flyer that you wanted to get before he hit undrafted free agency in the 7th round. A little bit. I mean, it's in the same area. Yeah. But you get my point.
As a GM, that makes you look better if you can keep that guy.
Yeah, I think, by the way, the Jags have had luck with this, with Scobie in the past and stuff. So, I mean, they I don't know if there's pressure, Austen, in the 6th, 7th round to land a guy. Like, I'm not applying that pressure. I understand the nature of that. What it's nice is it goes back to the conversation we've had where, hey, can you find a gem? Right? Now, Cam Little turns into a 12-year kicker, and he's got the career of Scobie and others. That's called a gem.
True. But, right? You're correct there. But I also think, like if you take an edge rusher in the 6th round, okay, try to develop him, get whatever you can, and then, maybe wash your hands of him. It's all good. I feel like a punter or a kicker in the 6th round, you're expecting him to come over and get the job. I think there's more of a precedent from a punter or kicker when you draft them there as opposed to different positions.
You might be right. Like, I don't necessarily feel like if Riley Pederson is your kicker, because Cam Little, he just and sticks on your practice squad or whatever. Like, I'm not like hammering the Jags in the fall for it. Like, I don't feel like it. Foye Lukin, by the way, wearing that red jersey because of a small procedure on his wrist this offseason. So that's why he's there. You get a little brace on that left wrist, doing some work off to the side. But I'm not saying that's not fair either to say, like, maybe he does have to deliver. But what I like about this, and the Jags have had, my goodness, this kicker stuff is just crazy. It's crazy. Not whatever happens with the McManus stuff happens with the McManus stuff. Is it the Jags' fault? I don't know. Maybe it is in part. But the bottom line is they've had Josh Lambo, who was unbelievable. Then they had Josh Lambo, who maybe helped get Urban Meyer fired. And then they couldn't replace Josh Lambo. And then they get McManus, who's really good, big leg, and then can't make a kick in the most critical part of the season. And now we got this after the fact. They need to settle the damn thing down at kicker. They need a kicker. They need a guy like Cam Little to come in here and be the kicker for the next 10 years. And by the way, we hardly notice him. That means he's making extra points and he's making the kicks that he should be making. And then once in a while, we throw up on his shoulders because he kicked a 54-yarder to win a football game on a Monday night.
Yeah.
That's what we need back in the kicker position in Jacksonville. Because right now, it's just like, this is the most bizarre stretch I can remember. I don't know if you can find another team. Now, we don't pay attention to the other team's kickers that much, but it's been like a 15 to 20 different kicker run, bookended by headlines from McManus and Lambo.
Yeah, and it's almost laughable at this point. Listen, I'm not saying it's laughable in terms of Brent McManus because those are serious allegations. We'll see how those come out. But I'm just saying it's laughable from the fact of how many kickers now this franchise has gone through. And I get it. It's a position where you can kind of crack some jokes sometimes and say this team is cursed. Man, we just can't find our kicker and everything. And maybe that is the fact. But I guarantee you, when it comes down to needing a kicker, you don't have one. That's when you're going to say, hey, what are we doing here? Look at Justin Tucker in Baltimore. Yeah. Baltimore's got a fantastic, it seems like fantastic culture, a lot of winning seasons. Kicker is the last thing on Baltimore's mind. Because you have a guy in Justin Tucker who's the most consistent thing ever. All right, Justin, 50-yard kick, won the game. Cool, got it, awesome. Oh, in terms of off-season distractions, what are you doing, singing in a choir? Yeah, we're all good. You never have to worry about that. And I think, once again, this is leading back to successful organizations. Now, I get sometimes kickers can come and go, right? It can be a revolving door and everything, but if you're trying to make a Super Bowl run, make a playoff run, the kicker's important, number one, but also the consistency of having that kicker is big number two.
Yeah, so that was a look at OTAs, by the way, and they're wrapped up now, at least the stuff that we can, or Marcel could get and send it back to us. So Brent, Austen Lane, I mean, we're on it right now, so I might as well, I want to hit a break. We'll hit a break in a second, but you just kind of summed it up. But it's not laughable because some of these things are serious, so I don't want to go there with it, but it's just wow. The Jags organization, since I've been to town in 2008, have had a lot of weird things. It hadn't always been good. The on-field stuff has been questionable. The off-the-field stuff at times was questionable for a long run. They really settled that part down. And I just can't, I don't know how to sum it up. I just can't get over the fact that we talk about kickers so much. And what's wild about it is you had runs like Hollis, Scobie, and even early Lambo that were tremendous stories in the kicking game. These guys were really good. Yeah. And you didn't have to talk about it. In fact, Josh Scobie at one time was the most popular player maybe in Jacksonville on the football team, which also was probably an issue. But that's where the kicker position had represented
it was so
itself
consistent,
in
Brent. Yeah.
And
it's just a sure thing.
I thought they found it a little bit last year with McManus. He comes in, he's booting the big kicks, he's making 54-yarders look good, and then all of a sudden he turned into a guy that can't make the kick against Cincinnati. One of the weirdest things is that Doug started calling him out. He basically called him out. He was so pissed. He's still pissed about that Cincinnati miss. And rightfully so. The quarterback goes down. You're in that whole moment. Kicker's got to make a 45-yarder, and he misses it. You win the football game if he doesn't miss that. And that just snowballs into everything else. And then on top of that, he missed more. It took him until Carolina to make him, and then he finally made some gimmies and short shots against Carolina. But, he was not good down the stretch of the season. And now, 9 months later, we're still talking about the guy that couldn't make a kick in the most critical parts of the season. But now for the off-the-field stuff. Oh, and by the way, before that, the Jags rifled through like a bunch of guys. I mean, a bunch. I mean, they did settle a little bit on from maybe it was Pederson to Matthew Wright. They had some good moments, Casey's guy. But before that, we were showing Wall that says it all with kickers. The Jags had like a run through 6 or 7 kickers one time in the same season when Lambeau got hurt and they couldn't replace him, or when he was finally done. And then we all know what precipitated the whole conversation is the Lambeau-Urban Meyer stuff, which was also wild because that was on the heels of Lambeau being unbelievable and resurrecting his career here in Jacksonville after coming over from the Chargers. So wild, man. Wow.
And you know what's wild here? I'm not trying to stir the pot or anything, but it is crazy to see how he started out and it looked like, okay, finally we got our guy. And then that second London game, the first London game against Houston, it would have been, correct?
Way back?
I'm saying when, yeah, in the season, yes.
Oh, like this past season?
This past season.
That wasn't against Houston.
Okay.
That would have been against
Atlanta.
The first London game was Atlanta.
And then who was the second one?
Atlanta, and then Buffalo.
Buffalo. Okay, got you. Okay, so yeah, never mind. That's staying correct because I was trying to see like where it all went bad for him in terms of like.
It was Cincinnati. He was good all the way up until the Cincinnati game. Yeah. I'm pretty sure you have his numbers.
Yeah, I have his numbers. So he went 1 for 3 against the Texans, and that was 9/24. That would have been September 24th.
Oh, he had one blocked.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a bad game. The special teams sucked.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I mean,
okay, so that's
whatever the kickoff return for the Texans game.
But I don't think that led to like this swoon of bad play.
No,
that was a one-off thing, and I want to say his first 9 or 10 games were really pretty good.
They were perfect. Yep, and then you get to Houston. At Houston, you missed one. And then Cincinnati, you go 1 for 2 there.
Which, by the way, hold on now. The Houston game is where it started. Because the Houston game, now again, these weren't short field goals. But this guy was brought in because he had a big leg, and he had already made a bunch of 54, 55-yarders. And in today's world, like you can't go 1 for 6 and miss even 5 from over 50 unless it's like 62 or something.
Yeah.
And he misses one against Houston, and then that allows the Texans to actually have a chance late in the game. They doink it and miss. Jags, take a breath.
Yeah.
But Josh Allen had to save that game with a couple of sacks late. They had to kick a field goal. They couldn't make it. They tried it from long range. But that was set up in part because he missed. And then he misses the one against Cincinnati.
So then he goes 1 for 2 against Cincinnati.
Huge miss.
It was huge. I mean, that was the game. Didn't kick one against Cleveland. Then that following week against Baltimore, they lose 23-7. He missed 2 of them.
2.
Yes.
And again, those are momentum shifters in that game, if you remember correctly, because the Jags moved the football. 7 points was not enough in that game against Baltimore for obvious reasons, but it doesn't tell the story. The Jags went up and down the field and got in scoring range, I want to say 6 times. I think a fumble or maybe even 2 from Trevor, and these couple of missed field goals changed the tone of that game.
And then the following week, he kicked 1 against Tampa Bay and missed that one as well.
I think that was early in the game. Like, could have gone up 3-0, and it was like from 50 yards or something.
I don't have when it was. Don't have how long
I think it was.
But yeah,
I got pretty decent memory on that stuff. I think that's the way it goes. So again, he went through a 4-game or 5-game stretch where he wasn't good.
Yeah.
And those kind of things, man, they you know how it goes. They change momentum, change games. And when it got to the point, I remember saying this. I remember saying, hey, like maybe they could have gone for it or something, or late in the game they had this or that going on. I was like, put him in the game and let him get one from 34 yards. Like everything he's taken in his defense is like 53, 54 yards. But where all of a sudden we went out there, we're like, hey, put this guy out there from 57, you feel good. Now you don't feel good at all. And so what he did is he corrected a little bit on that game against Carolina. He had a bunch of short ones finally. But that's the way we shifted talking about McManus. And it just didn't work again. I mean, I couldn't get over the fact how much Doug was so vocal about it. Like, I don't think he's still over that Cincinnati one. For whatever reason, that Cincinnati one is a big one that stays with Doug. I think if you were to, in private, ask Doug, like, one of the top 5 moments he's most pissed off about last year, it would be there.
Yeah.
It had to be. And this is a guy that protects players all the time. But he was kind of openly calling out, like he said a couple of sound bites were like, well, if the kicker made his kick,
No, I mean, this is a guy who had Luke Fortner's back through and through.
Yeah.
Until it was time to bring somebody else in. Not the same could be said for Brandon McManus.
Now, important to note, too, on the McManus stuff and Doug stuff, he did say once again today, if you're just jumping in on this whole sexual assault case with McManus, that he did say this was the first he had heard about it when he saw the article, which, again, I don't know what that means internally. You can criticize that or not, but this was obviously taken to the press by these allegations, right, and given to ESPN, and that's where the noise was made. Maybe even before, I got to believe somebody in the Jags organization knew it was coming, because they did comment that, hey, it's obviously a legal procedure now, blah, blah, blah. But Doug also did say they did not bring him back because of any of this kind of stuff or anything off the field in reference to this story. It was more, we just weren't re-signing him, which also wasn't a surprise, because by the end of it, you could tell
the way that he played,
Doug wasn't really a big fan of it.
Yeah.
So
I think a lot of fans weren't a big fan of him.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the latest on the kicker stuff. We talked kind of a lot about it, but it is the bottom line for me here. If I'm Doug, if I'm Trent Baalke, it's like, can we settle this kicker situation down? Is Cam Little that answer? They drafted him in the 6th round. Can he do that for them? And I'm telling you what, it seems like a very small thing until it's a thing when you talk about the kicker position. If they can make it not a thing again, I think everybody would be happy around here.
Yeah.
So let's root for Cam Little to have himself a very nice start in Jacksonville and a very nice long career here in Jacksonville. He's not going to make them all, but hopefully he does his job and does it well and can go just sit in the corner during practice and play some games and have some fun the way everybody, the special teamers do.
Yeah, and you know where I'm standing on this. I hope this whole thing is false, and I hope that these allegations are not true. I hope I can keep on coming in here talking about football and who's calling the plays, what the scheme's looking like, and player performance and things like that. Like, I don't like coming in here talking about bad optics that aren't football related. You know, like that brings me no joy, not a great part of the job. So I hope this whole thing all blows over and once again, no parties are found guilty, because if they are, then I think it's going to be a whole whirlwind of different things to talk about, which I don't want to go down that road and try to slam this organization, because once again, I'd rather, be critical of them in terms of football related things and not what happened on an airplane going to London.
If you missed any of the show, by the way, we talk a lot about the kicker stuff early on in the show. You can always subscribe to the podcast and go check it out. It's up by 1:30 each and every day. So on your drive home, if you missed some of the show, each hour is put up on the podcast, Action Sports Jacks, Brent and Austen show. You can go find it, as many people have. A good way to listen in your car on the way home, or you can always subscribe to our YouTube channel. Watch all the time on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network to the replays and see the show. And we showed you some of the OTAs today, too, which is cool. Last week we did this on Monday. We did it today. Something that we can do that, well, nobody else is really doing, and can give you at least a look. Some of the guys we talked about, Devin Lloyd, right? We talked about the kickers. We talked Foye Oluokun in a red jersey, coming off off-season wrist surgery. Trevor throwing the ball. Little Brian Thomas Jr. Talked about their offense and the scheme and some of the things that we could see. And obviously those conversations will continue. Let's do this. Our show will continue when we take a break. We'll come back. A lot of stuff still to get to, by the way, from the passing of Bill Walton to the NBA Finals and more Jaguars conversation. We'll hear from Press Taylor on Brian Thomas Jr., on Tank Bigsby. We'll hear from Doug Pederson as well from today as we head into week 2 of OTAs. It's up next here on the Brent and Austen Show on a Tuesday on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. In Northeast Florida, we love hanging out on the back patio, maybe grilling out lunch or dinner with the family, enjoying the good weather, or maybe enjoying the big game on the TV. Or maybe your favorite team in town, the Action Sports Jacks team. This is great, except for when it's really hot or the bugs start coming out. But what if you didn't have to worry about that? Titan Outdoor Solutions will make your outdoor area a comfortable spot, any time of the day, any time of the year. This makes too much sense. Titan Outdoor Solutions can give your home an upgrade. Customized pergolas, awnings, controlled shade, even retractable screens. The solution to beating the heat and the bugs and getting more use out of your home is Titan Outdoor Solutions. And this can even help prevent storm damage at your home. Living in Florida and living in your home is already good. Now make it great. Quality products, custom work, locally owned and operated. Visit TitanShuttersAndScreens.com or call 904-484-7580.
An historic debut was cut short by Mother Nature, and a new opponent hopefully yields new results in the latest Armada Minute. The under-23 women's team had the chance to play in front of a home crowd for the first time in program history, but couldn't find the back of the net before a weather delay in the 69th minute resulted in a scoreless draw against Dade County FC. The girls in blue hit the road this week for a pair of matchups against Florida Gulf Coast and Cape Coral before returning home June 8th. The men's team continues its road trip this weekend as well with a Saturday afternoon matchup against Miami Dutch Lions FC after 2 losses in Naples last week. The Armada will return home on Friday, June 7th against New Orleans. Visit JacksonvilleArmada.com for tickets, and if you make a reservation for next year's MLS Next Pro season ticket, you'll get free admission to all home games this summer.
I've been telling you about CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing for a long time now. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We've had a Connecticut water softener and drinking water system in our home for more than 7 years. You can see the difference whether you're washing clothes, the dishes, or what I like to do most, fill this up for some coffee every morning, and mostly all day. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. Right now, you can save $1,000 or more when you bundle the Connecticut Premier Softener with a Connecticut K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions so you can improve it. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Financing options available with approved credit. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
Do you have ugly concrete around your home or business? Are you tired of concrete that is cracked, stained, or just plain ugly? Spartan Coatings' range of products provides a surface that is non-porous, easy to clean, antibacterial, and slip-resistant, all with superior durability.
Living in Florida nearly my whole life, I know the toll our weather can take on a garage floor. That's why I had Matt and the crew from Spartan Coatings transform this space. And the best part, they did it in one day.
It was a professional process from step one. The polyurea and polyaspartic system provides superior flexibility, is 4 times stronger than epoxy coatings, and will withstand temperatures high and low. Plus, it comes with a 20-year warranty. Whether it's a garage floor, patio, pool deck, driveway, or your interior flooring, Spartan Coatings has you covered. To get started transforming your ugly concrete surfaces, call 904-671-3930 or visit SpartanCoatings.com today for your free quote.
Everyone loves a good game night. Here you don't have to be the host. You don't have to clean up. They bring the food and drinks to you, and you can watch whatever you want on the big screens. It's more than a card room. It's a night full of fun with friends. Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and now the newest location here in St. Augustine, right off 95 at exit 311. A brand new clean room, a full bar and menu, my favorite sushi in town. And I love the fries too. You don't have to just play poker at Best Bet. That's why I come over here to the table games and play one card poker. That's a pretty good card and a win. One card poker is like war as a kid, you against the dealer. And this isn't the only fun table game to play. A friendly staff, a lot of fun. It's a good night out at Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and the newest location in St. Augustine. You can be a serious player or a novice. It doesn't matter. If winning equals fun, you're a winner every time at Best Bet. I'll save you a seat, and I'll see you down here at Best Bet St. Augustine.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Look at the Miller Electric Center. Jags wrapping up OTA number 4 this would be, and then they'll have a couple more this week, and we'll be back at it next week with them as well. In fact, I never got to that story about the off-season. I want to get to that. I'm all over the place today. We're back at it with so much stuff. Brent and Austen Show on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Man, there's a lot going on. You know, I hope your weekend was good.
It was great.
My weekend was good, and so I was like, I had a lot of ball this weekend. Just doesn't stop.
Still playing baseball?
Oh, yeah, still back at it. And
okay. Like practicing, or you like summer league? What are you talking about?
Ty took like a week off, and then Kaylee and Ty back in it with like the Trout. Like they're just guest playing a little bit, I guess you'd say, just to stay fresh, get at bats. Okay. And then Ty started yesterday the Coastal Collegiate Baseball League. So it's a summer league.
Man.
And there's 5 teams in that league, a lot of local guys, but you got to get your work in, right? I mean, you can't just show up on campus at college in the fall without playing for a couple months. And so all the kids usually play. Get your workouts in, right? You hit the weight room, all those kind of deals. But anyway, I was going to just like sit back and not like video, because usually the games I video, the kids like it, right? They get the highlights and throw it on social media, and they get to use it for their recruiting stuff or whatever else.
Okay.
And it keeps me busy during the game.
Yeah. Now, I would be charging if I was you, but okay, gotcha.
Well, I probably should.
I'm kidding.
So, but I was like, so I didn't do the math in my head. I was kind of laying low. I knew we weren't doing a show Monday. So I was way more laid back this weekend than normal. And all of a sudden, like, we're playing on Sunday, and there's 3 games. Like, we started at 11. This game didn't end till like 7-something, the last one. It's hot.
Yeah.
I get like all video. I'm standing up the whole game. I've been doing this for a long time. I got hit by a foul ball early on. I mean, it was unbelievable. Like, it hurt.
Where'd you take it? The ribs?
No, and the
arm, like forearm. Okay.
And so I proceeded to get hit because like the net gives a little bit.
Okay.
And I've been there. But I just have never gotten hit.
Sure.
I got hit there, and then I almost got hit like 5 more times. And then yesterday I actually got hit in the rib just lightly. Got a little more padding there these days.
Yeah,
so that helped. But I was just like, what the heck? But anyway, long story short is I end up putting all these videos out and doing the videos, and I'm like in the sun. It was hot.
Yeah.
Now, I don't mind hot, but it was hot.
Yeah.
And the last 2 days, like, I didn't do anything really for work.
Good for you, man. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like a good thing.
It is a good thing.
But to me, it's not, because I like catch up, and all of a sudden I'm like in my mind, I'm way behind.
Okay.
I'm way behind everything.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know Rob was doing the show today until like this morning at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
And I'm usually like way ahead of that kind of stuff. So I don't like that space. And I'm in a dangerous space coming up, just to let you know, because we're going away.
Okay.
And like, this is why I'll work on vacation, because I can't just go away, come back to it all. Like,
because you're worried about the inmates can run the asylum? Like,
not
what are we talking about?
Not worried about that.
Yeah, well, it'll be fine, man. Trust us.
But I'm just worried about, like, I don't want to have to do it all when I come back. Like, I don't want, like, 600, like, your emails.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want that. I don't want, if I get a little bit done each day, I feel like at least I'm in the loop. Because one thing I think I've learned that I do is once I'm out of the loop, like, I can actually tune out. Like, I could never turn it off. Mm-hmm. Now I think I can.
Okay.
And so yesterday I was out of the loop. And so I wasn't thinking work-related stuff.
That's good, man. You have to decompress every once in a while.
I guess.
Listen, this is not therapy or anything. I'm just telling you, man, it's good to just take a little break of it, walk away from it, and just decompress, man.
I know, but it almost makes me like, I don't get stressed, but almost I was like stressed this morning. I was like, holy cow, I got all this stuff to do this week.
Yeah.
And I'm not like sure if I'm missing something. Like, I feel like I'm missing something.
I mean, I'm just going to say where I'm coming from. I'm worried that you're to keep on just not decompressing, keep, just pushing it down, and all of a sudden Trevor Lawrence might have a bad season, and it's just going to put you over the top. That's what I'm like. Listen, nobody wants Trevor Lawrence to do good as much as I do, because I'm afraid if he doesn't, like, yeah, it's going to be horrible for everybody as a Jaguars fan, but I'm afraid of how Brent's going to respond to it if he doesn't do good.
Yeah, it might be bad.
So, Trevor, no pressure or anything, but going to need you to be a all-pro this year. Thank you.
So oblige me while I'm all over the place. Apologies for that. But I did want to say that tomorrow we're going to be at Furniture Source at the Town Center.
Yeah.
And then Friday we're at String Sports Brewery. I got to let Scott know that. Thanks. I'll add it to my list. And then Thursday we might be over at, I think we're going to be over at Nimnik. We're definitely going to do a special Committed to the Uncommitted show at 2 o'clock because we have our committed scholarship presentation from football season. Believe it or not, tomorrow we're going to hand out that $2,500 check, which is really cool. So we got a lot of stuff cooking this week. Hopefully you can join us. Furniture Source, then likely Nimnik on Thursday, and then String Sports Brewery on Friday. We're on the road a bunch next week as well. And the June calendar is interesting. Austen and Casey will do the show for a week, and then we're going to take a couple-week hiatus at the end of June with the show. Not the network. The network keeps rolling, which, by the way, part of this stuff, we're rolling out some more things, including the Stripe Show podcast tomorrow at 2 o'clock on the network after Cup Date and a week with Action Sports Shack. So we'll have more about that coming up tomorrow, but some fun stuff in the works and happening. That being said, Did you see the Tom Pelissero report? And I want to see if you like this. I have not digested it all, but the NFLPA is working to finalize proposal to overhaul the off-season workout program. If you had input on this, what do you like, not like as a player with the off-season program?
I mean, I've heard some of it.
You have heard some of it?
Yeah,
But let's take you back to
OTA.
not hearing this.
Okay, got it.
If I had asked you this a month ago,
what would I change?
what would you change, or would you change anything? Do you think it's ridiculous? Do you think it's too much?
The spring stuff's kind of played out.
It is?
Yeah. So, some of it, because there's benefit to OTAs for sure, and I'm a fan of that, but it's just like the spring walkthroughs where, once again, it's not mandatory, but like if you're a player kind of on the roster bubble, you better be there for a chance of making a team, because I understand coaches take a checklist of that. So it's kind of those things that kind of get like long and mundane in the springtime.
So that's, by the way, that's mid-April. So listen, most players, let's just take it to the end of June. Now, there's a couple teams that are going through the middle of February, and you want to be doing that, of course, with the Super Bowl. But you have February, March, and like 2 weeks in it. So it's like a 10-week break. And then your next break is really mandatory minicamp ends for the Jags, let's say on June 12th. You come back on July 20-something. So there's like another 5 weeks in there. So you get like a 10-week break and a 5-week break.
So so that's one of my issues. Another one, and like I don't know how you'd really swing this because I think it's too hard. I loved training camp in Jacksonville, even though the heat was by far the worst that I played in during training camp. But the fact that you got to sleep in a hotel and sleep in a hotel bed was everything.
You like that?
Oh, I love that, because like, keep in mind, and I get like, oh, it's a couple weeks in the dorm beds, you'll be all right. Yeah, true, but also you have guys who are 6'6", 300-something pounds, trying to sleep in a dorm bed.
Yeah,
like
that did seem archaic and dumb.
It's like, in terms of like sleep quality, in terms of recovery. No, and I get like part of training camp is to try to push you and like exactly. But if we're really that concerned about player safety, player recovery, all this stuff, that you shouldn't have grown ass men sleeping in dorm beds, in the middle of the summer.
I covered the Giants for 5 years at Albany. They were at the University at Albany, and they did that. And it's like, you're not wrong. Like that seems weird. Now, in fairness to the league, that was back 2007-ish. That has changed. Nobody does that anymore.
No one sleeping in dorm beds?
I don't think people sleeping in dorm beds. Most everybody has their stuff at their headquarters. Like the Patriots used to be in a dorm in a college. They moved it to Gillette. The Giants moved from Albany back. The Jags, I remember they did Stevens Point way back in the day, but they've usually always done it here. The Dallas Cowboys go in Oxford, California. I don't know their setup for that, but I don't feel like it's at a college. If people are going at a college, I think it's very few of them. Very few. If any, I'm trying to think who would.
I mean, I'm just speaking from when I was playing. The Bears did it in Bourbonnais, and then the Kansas City Chiefs, when I spent a summer with them, they did it at like Southeast or Southwest Missouri State.
Did they?
Yeah.
I don't know. Now, again, I'm not sure. I don't know where everybody trains. I just kind of figured that it all phased out because of what you're talking about.
Yep.
But again, that's somewhat recent. I mean, even when you were doing it, that's just 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So, but here's the thing. The NFLPA, this is from Tom Pelissero, working to finalize a proposal to overhaul the offseason starting as soon as 2025. So that would be next year. Eliminating voluntary on-field work in the spring in favor of a longer training camp ramp-up. Players reporting in mid-June to early July. NFL Network insider Tom Pelissero reported Tuesday, per sources informed of the plan, a formal proposal is expected this summer. They've been working on this for a while in getting information, in part because of injuries. They've consulted medical and performance experts to create a solution for reducing injuries, maximizing players' recovery time. Under the potential proposal, virtual classroom work would still be permitted in the spring, but no practices until camp. One last thing, restructuring the NFL's offseason could help break up the calendar, giving players a deeper layoff following a grinding season, longer ramp-up before the start of the season, which could help avoid soft tissue injuries that plague players during camp. Honestly, Austen, I'm not sure how I feel about this. I don't know if I'm thinking about this on a personal level. It's like, wait a minute. We're going to have to start covering the NFL now in mid-June all the way through February?
Yeah.
Like, my clock is so used to that summer break, which I like, but I'm not doing the workouts or playing games on Sundays. Like, so I'm just admitting this might be a little bit selfish. I'm surprised that players would want to elongate the season to that degree.
Yeah, I mean, like, listen, I get trying to cancel out the spring schedule a little more, have a little more time to yourself. Totally. Like, who doesn't get that? But if I'm sitting here saying, would I sacrifice that spring schedule for a longer training camp of the summer? Absolutely not. Because the spring schedule, like, yeah, it's inconvenient. You got to show up. Like, I get it's not mandatory, but for a lot of players, quote unquote, it is mandatory. I would much rather do that where practice seemed to be a little more. Then it's not easy, but it's a little more on the chill side as opposed to a full-fledged training camp for a couple. Like, there's no way. No.
Yeah, that's a weird thing that they would agree on. Because here's the deal. And we can maybe get into this later. We probably should. There's a lot of momentum. All of a sudden, a lot of conversation, Austen, about all this 18 regular season games. That's come faster than I thought. We're going from 16 to 17 to 18. It seems like pretty quick. So if I'm the NFLPA, I'm sitting here like, hey, you want that 18 games, and it looks like we're going to trend that way, and you guys are going to go that way? Well, if we're going to modify things, we're going to modify it to my liking, which means I'll see you guys in July.
Yeah.
And when I leave in January and February, I get to use the facility all I want, but I'll see you in July. Like, I'll take care of this on my own. Like, I get why the instruction, you could do Zoom classes in class with players if you want to talk about scheme and everything else. Or maybe you bring them in for a week in the offseason somewhere where they have to have, like, what we do in the business world. Maybe you have to have a meeting or a retreat or whatever else. And you don't love them, but you got to do them. So maybe you have to do that. But, man, if I'm the players, I'm like, why am I here in mid-June, July? What they say is they feel like if that ramp-up will help them with these soft tissue injuries more. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see if that's the case. I can't imagine them having, this session in what they're doing right now in an OTA today is creating a lot of soft tissue injuries.
Yeah, I mean, I have a hard time believing that. I mean, listen, the only way I would the way I would justify it, I think is what they're kind of getting at here is if you do extend the training camp of like the summer and you make a couple more weeks, then those practices aren't even really practices, I would feel like. You would like make them like where the players can acclimate. Yeah. Whether you're acclimating to the weather, you're acclimating to the schedule, and you slowly start to ramp it up. Because a lot of times in training camp, it's like, we'll keep the pads off a little bit, but the intensity is still the same. Yeah. Right? And like you go right into it. So hopefully, and once again, I'm sure every single player, took care of their body in the offseason and planning accordingly. But still, it is hard to go from different areas where you train, come in for training camp and be like, all right, ready to go. That's where I think the injuries happen. So if there's a way to slowly start to acclimate players a little more and take it easy the first couple of weeks, then I would be for that.
Yeah, I'm a little, at face value, I was struck by the mid-June part. That's way too early to me. Now, if it's after the 4th of July and you're reporting on July 10th, maybe that's not that big a deal. 1 or 2 weeks before. You get 2 more weeks, then I can see that. Like that calendar's about 2 weeks different. But here's the other thing. Do you really need to be there in that time frame when you're now only going to play 2 preseason games? You're really not playing a game, like a meaningful game now, for 2 months after you report. Holy cow, does that seem like a long time? You talk about mundane, monotonous, all that stuff. I mean, that's a lot. But if at the price, if I was a player, I'd take those 2 weeks. Now, if you tell me July 10th, I'll take those 2 weeks in favor of not having to go in April and May or in June. Mm-hmm. Now that becomes a little bit more sensible in that regard. So, and I'm with you. I think this time frame it's if I was a coach, if I'm an organization, I see the value in it. If I'm a player, I see some value in it. But I think these guys know what's at stake. There's so much money. They're not sitting there eating Doritos on the couch. They know how to get their bodies right. That's why Josh Allen isn't here. Like, if more and more players are going to go do their own thing anyway, then we know they know how to get ready for the season. I mean, Josh Allen did it his way and then had a career year.
Yeah.
Now, everybody trains different. Everybody learns different. Everybody's different creature of habit. But I think these guys can be ready to go without this kind of part of the offseason. I really do. I've always thought that way, really.
So real quick, too, just getting back to what we're discussing in terms of training camps and where they're at. So I looked it up last year. The NFL put out a list of where the training camps were last year. And I don't have this year's list quite yet. It comes out, I guess, in June. But 5 teams last year, including the Green Bay Packers, who used St. Norbert. So 6 teams total used colleges.
Really?
So you're just going on the list here. So Carolina was at Wofford College or Wolford College.
Yep.
Buffalo Bills were at St. John's Fisher University.
They're still there, huh? Well, their stadium sucks.
You had the Green Bay Packers, it's at Lambeau, but they used St. Norbert College. You had Kansas City Chiefs were at Missouri Western State University. That's when I was at.
Okay, they're still there.
And then the Rams were at the University of California, Irvine.
Okay, all right, now you got me kind of digging down a rabbit hole. Maybe I'll do it. It's like, I bet there's a lot of schools like that now have nice hotels in the area and stuff, right?
Yeah.
These aren't just like your old school, and I wonder if they're staying in the dorms. Like, they might be. By the way, they might be. Mm-hmm. But if they are, it's a very good point by you. It's like, why are they staying in dorms?
So to be fair, there's an article now with the Packers where I guess they have now officially gone away from St. Norbert's a college in Green Bay.
Okay.
And they used to use the dorms at St. Norbert. So it just got announced that this 2024 season, Green Bay is moving away from the St. Norbert College and going. It doesn't say where they're going yet, but they're going someplace else. So one would assume maybe hotels then for those.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow, that's wild. That's wild that they would still. I mean, you're paying $50 million for your quarterback to go sleep where, like, Ty and Kaylee are going to sleep.
Yeah, like, listen, hey, players union, you know?
I mean, like, how is that still a thing, to your point? I never even knew that. Like, there's got to be some more articles on this. Now I'm going to dig it up. I mean, that's
Brent's doing the dirty work. I like it, man.
That's crazy. There's got to be better accommodations than a dorm room.
Okay, yeah.
But I don't know. Now, listen, I'll say one other thing. College has changed since you and I were there. The living facilities in college are better than, like, my third apartment as an adult. All right? Like, seriously, they are. These kids are living in primo headquarters at some of these college campuses. Now, what you're talking about are a lot of smaller schools that might not have that kind of housing. Yeah. So I'm fascinated to see. But if they're still going into a prison bed of a dorm, then that's like...
And
crazy.
And now keep in mind too as well, even like when I was in Kansas City or Chicago. So I guess Chicago now does it all at the facilities.
They do.
The Hallis Hall.
Yeah.
But keep in mind, like when I was in the dorms, it's probably like 2 weeks, right? Because it's at the whole duration of a training camp.
Yeah.
Then you can move into a
Doesn't
hotel.
matter.
But no, still, I mean, the fact of you're talking 2 weeks in a dorm bed.
Listen, at first I hated that. I was up in Albany. I thought it was really cool that the Giants came up to Albany. It was kind of a fun thing. It's a neat thing. But I also get it. Like, I get what you're building these Taj Mahal facilities. You might as well be. You've got everything there. Why would you even make it more work on your logistical team to move everything? But it was that old school way. But football has changed. It was for Tom Coughlin and the New York Giants. He wanted that. Harden you.
Yeah,
right?
It's almost like a team
ready.
Camaraderie thing. Like you're going away from all the distractions of being in the city. Yeah.
So I get it. It's the same reason really why Doug likes London a little bit, right? You kind of do all those things in the middle of the season. Now the accommodations are pretty good in London. So it's kind of fascinating to see that still happen. I didn't even know that. I just thought I actually thought the Giants were one of the last ones to move. I figured everybody else kind of had it, but not to be the case as of now. We will take a break. We come back lunchtime here on Action Sports Jax 24/7 Network, the Brent and Austen Show. Don't forget Donato's Pizza, 20% off with code Brent20 in Mandarin and Jax Beach. Done cooking for the week. How about a little Donato's Pizza here as we end the month of May? Code Brent20, save 20% off your order in Mandarin and Jax Beach. When we come back, we hear more from Doug Pederson and Press Taylor about Brian Thomas Jr., Tank Bigsby's usage as well. A lot more to get to, and the late, great Bill Walton. Got to say a word or two about him and the NBA Finals that are almost all set. We're coming back right after this on a Tuesday. I like to say everybody has a story, and sometimes we're a part of other people's stories. That's the case here at Nimnick Buick GMC. My family and the Nimnick family. We've purchased 6 different vehicles from Nimnick Buick GMC. Maybe you're in the market for a truck. Well, let me tell you about the GMC Sierra. I absolutely love mine. I've had a couple of these. This one's a 2020, but right now on 2024 GMC Sierras here at Nimnick Buick GMC, there's special financing. A year ago, we purchased a GMC Terrain for the kids. Financing rates as low as 0.9% for eligible buyers on Terrains and no payments for 90 days. Looking for used instead of new? Buy a used car with the Car Bravo program. Nimnicht Buick GMC certifies all makes and models. Let the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville take care of you and your family. Come on out and see the showroom, meet the fantastic people, or shop online at nimnichtbuickgmc.com. Nimnicht, your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC, we are professional grade.
What started out as better people, better projects just keeps getting, well, better. That's Better Exterior Solutions, ready to help you create a better outdoor experience. Check this out. Motorized pergolas are the latest in technology to transform your outdoor space. Beautiful day? Let the sun shine through. Summer rainstorm? These pergola systems close automatically to keep the weather out. From residential to commercial uses, Better Exterior Solutions has products customized to meet virtually any existing architectural structure. With retractable awnings, screens, and hurricane shutters too, if you want unparalleled quality and expertise, you need Better Exterior Solutions. Get a free estimate by visiting betterexteriors.com or calling 904-902-4999. Better Exterior Solutions. Experience better.
It's the fishing tournament everyone wants to get in, and it's time for you to register. More than 650 boats entered last summer in the Daly's Old School Kingfish Shootout presented by Yellowfin. Mark the calendar now, June 8th. This is fun for the entire family, and everyone has a chance to win big. Limited boundaries, no bait buying, no checkout. Cash prizes for the top 25 places, cash prizes for the top 10 lady anglers, and prizes for the top 15 junior anglers. The grand prize, this Yellowfin Bay boat with a 200 horsepower Yamaha and Ameritrail trailer. The value, over $100,000. It's the Daly's Old School Kingfish Shootout. Early entry until the end of May is open and $250. If you don't catch the big one, don't worry. Just catch any size kingfish and have a chance to win $10,000 with the Nimnicht Lucky Ticket. OldSchoolKingfish.com. Register early until May 31st at OldSchoolKingfish.com.
Oh man, it is that time. I love being outside, but it is just so hot. Oh my gosh, I cannot be outside. Well, you know, it doesn't have to be. As a matter of fact, I've got the perfect solution for you to be able to stay outdoors and not look like this guy.
GW Outdoor Solutions has the solution that will help you create areas of shade with their automated retractable awning. As the summer months inch closer, the high temperatures will be right there too. With GW Outdoor Solutions, go from scorching to cooling in no time with one simple push of a button. These innovative shade solutions not only provide protection from the sun and rain, but also add style and functionality to your home. Let GW Outdoor Solutions transform your backyard into paradise. Check out gwoutdoorliving.com for your free estimate.
New to town or always been in town, everyone is always looking for a good pizza place. Our place is Donato's Pizza. We love it and still do love it. When I tell my family I'm coming to Donato's, they say, wait a minute, you got to order some for us. So this is not all for me. Let me tell you what the Martinos get when we put an order in. Well, pepperoni pizza, we usually get more than one of these. And then there's the works, a little bit of everything. And then this is the pizza that can be polarizing for some out there. I don't know why. Hawaiian pizza, some love it, some don't. At Donato's, you're gonna love it, especially with that cinnamon sprinkled on top. Try the pizza my family likes or try your favorite. Right now you can use the code Brent20 and get 20% off your order. Every viewer and listener is important to us, and at Donato's Pizza, every piece is important. From fresh ingredients to the dedicated team members and you, the valued customer. Donato's Pizza, where every piece comes together for a winning combination. Jack's Beach and Mandarin locations. Donato's Pizza, every piece is important.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
I'm not gonna lie, like the commercial breaks aren't long enough sometimes. Like when we got plenty of spots running, I'm not even getting to them enough as I should. But I need a little more commercial time. Maybe that's why the other place goes like 10 minutes of commercial time. I mean, I can go bathroom and
can have a whole meal. You can go get some coffee.
Oh yeah.
Make a little bit of a coffee run.
That does happen.
Mm-hmm.
Who's put? Is this?
I wouldn't click on it.
Do we have an imposter?
There's no name. There's a dot. Could be some kind of phishing thing, Brent.
Don't click on that.
Yep.
Don't click on
Gonna
that.
put the whole company in jeopardy.
Isn't there a way to just like delete that one on our stuff?
I mean, I'm kind of curious now.
Call Sesnick in here.
Yeah, I think you can like.
I'm kind of curious what it is.
You can get a message off the
here
stream. I just don't exactly know how.
Maybe I'll use my cell phone and click on it.
Used to do that quite a bit. Brent Martin along with Austen Lane.
Did I ever tell you the phishing story? I got busted one time by the company, Cox Media, that we work for. Well, that you work for. I'm a freelancer now. I say it all the time.
You got busted.
So, I guess the company got bored one day and decided to have like fake emails where if you clicked on it, like you got,
It's happened.
So, yeah. So there was one where it was like, it was something where like my boss, it was super believable. It was like my boss was requesting me to do something, like a meeting.
Oh, no,
Zoom
they're pretty
meeting.
good.
And I'm like, oh, yeah, well, let me be professional and like click on this meeting. And I click on it. Oh, you've been tracked. This was a test and you failed. And like, I guess a slap on the wrist. But it's like, well, okay then. Then and you wonder why I have 100,000 unread emails. Because it's exercises like that push me away from checking my work emails.
Yeah, that is a real deal thing. Actually, like we get them now that I can figure. Now you got to be alert about them.
Yeah,
which they do.
Yeah,
I'm not going to say you're a freelancer. I actually work for the company, so I won't say how I really feel. I'm not that dumb.
I mean, listen, I don't want.
I say a lot and probably more than I should say, but you never know who's listening.
I don't want to. I ain't trying to put anybody's info out there. But if you want to get me, just someone from Brent Martin. Because listen, if I see Brent Martin on the inbox, don't know if it's from the Cox Media or Action News, whatever. If I see Brent's name, may not even be him. I'm clicking on it. So hey, hackers, you want to get me? You want to get me?
Hey, hackers. Here's how you get me.
Yeah, exactly. Old Navy? Nah. Target ads? Nah. Any kind of car dealerships? Don't got time for you. Brent Martineau? Got me.
You got me.
Sorry.
I'm glad that
Jason Hamby? Probably not. Yeah. Brent Martineau? Ooh.
I'm glad you got time for me.
Ooh, I'm going down. Yeah.
That's awesome. Brent Martineau, Austen Lane, Action Sports Jax 24/7 Network. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Already on to Tuesday. And it looks like they're doing some work in there, so I won't get some sound yet from Press Taylor and Doug Pederson. Give me a thumbs up when we can. But while we're not, Bill Walton passing away. Man. That was out of the blue for me. I guess I forgot that he had cancer or hadn't paid attention to that or didn't know it was as severe. I don't know. I just was all of a sudden, I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what just happened? Bill Walton just passed away. I had no idea that was coming. And I think that was a me thing because it felt like the rest of the world, at least on social media, wasn't as surprised at his passing.
Yeah.
But, man, what an interesting guy. Great storyteller, unbelievable personality. You talk about making things fun. We talk about Charles Barkley a lot. Yeah. Walton is kind of in a different way, but the same vein. Like, you want to tune in for a Walton game or a Walton commentary.
Yeah. So, man, I was surprised how much this one hit me.
Yeah.
Like I was super I was bummed. I'll be honest, and maybe it was announced that he was sick or he had cancer. I didn't know.
Yeah.
So like when it popped up on Twitter, I'm like, oh, Bill Walton's trending. Like, oh, what do he say now? And I click on it, and it's like, damn, man, we lost one. It really affected me. And now keep in mind like where I'm coming from. I didn't grow up with Bill Walton, the basketball player.
Yeah.
So like I didn't
a little bit.
Yeah. So I didn't know of him. I think in Portland, obviously in UCLA. Like I've seen the documentary of him and Wooden and kind of that whole thing. Kind of reminds you of Bill Belichick and Gronk a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I didn't really know him in Boston either, and what he meant to the Celtics and those championship runs or whatever. So I had no idea of Bill Walton, the basketball player. What I knew was Bill Walton, the basketball personality. And, one of my favorite movies of all time is Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. It's a very trippy movie starring Johnny Depp. Not sure if you've seen it, Brent, but it's about Hunter S. Thompson, one of my favorite journalists / authors of all time. And I'm going to probably butcher this quote, but in that movie, towards the end, Hunter S. Thompson is talking about his lawyer, played by Benicio del Toro, leaving and going on an airplane. And essentially he goes like, there goes one of God's own prototypes, a high-powered mutant of some kind of never even considered for mass production, a man who's too weird to live and too rare to die. Huh. And when I hear that quote, and like I've heard this quote so many, I've seen the movie so many times, but I always think of Bill Walton when I hear that quote, because this was a man who knew exactly who he was. He wasn't going to change for anybody, and people embraced that, and they loved that. And like, I used to watch Pac-12, Pac-10 back in the day, what he called it. I used to just watch games just for him. Like, if there's a Pac-12 game on, I would see it, Bill Walton's calling it. And one of my favorite moments from his commentary, and I forgot who the guy...
Bill Pash.
Bill Pash, okay. Bill Pash caught word of Bill Walton.
I'm sorry, Dave Pash.
I'm sorry, okay, Sorry. Dave Pash. Dave Pash supposedly caught word of Bill Walton trying out for Chewbacca in Star Wars. And it was like an urban legend. And he keeps on poking and prodding Bill Walton, saying, okay, well, did you actually like audition for Chewbacca or not? And Walton wouldn't give it up. And Walton's going off like this tangent about like talking about something else, like being in Arizona and the coyote, something like that. He won't acknowledge the question. And finally, Bill Pash, you said it was? Dave Pash just goes, hey, were you auditioning for Star Wars or not? Like, he got kind of like a serious tone, like he's almost getting annoyed because he's trying to like drag this out of Walton, and Walton's not coming with him. And Walton finally goes, I'll never get it. Walton goes, you're too serious, man. Relax, have fun with this. You know, like, and here you have like a guy who's trying to be professional, do his job, call the game, and like he got a little tidbit of this information. He's trying to like, you know, be entertaining in his own mind, and Walton gives him nothing and just goes, man, you're taking this too serious. Just have fun with it. And like that was Bill Walton to a T.
I thought it was great. You know, what's cool about what you just said is I think Dave Pash, what a hard job he had.
Hardest.
What a fun job he had, and what a great job he did with Bill Walton. Like, that is really, from my end, right? I'm looking at it from the industry side. It's such a unique position, and everybody else. If you saw, like, there are two things out there today that are very fascinating to me. One is the Angel Hernandez commentary, which is worth chuckling about, and I guess he has a legacy, whether it's good or bad, or I don't know how he feels about that. I mean, you know, like everybody that hammer people, but there's some funny stuff out there. But then there's the Bill Walton stuff over the last couple of days, and it just keeps popping up, because the algorithm now, that's the way it works. Yeah. And it's just priceless, man. You could do a whole show, a whole day, at just people, what they say about Bill Walton, the stories of Bill Walton, the storytelling of Bill Walton. I tweeted one last night about Larry Bird and the Boston Celtics team seeing the Grateful Dead, and it was just great. And the way he tells the story over this 3.5 minutes, he's just a great storyteller. Again, from my point of view, you really admire that. Like, storyteller, you don't have to be in front of a microphone. There are some great storytellers that never get in front of a microphone, but that's a special gift when you can storytell like that. And he did it. Yeah. He brought humor. He brought light. And what I said here, I just tweeted this. I said, he makes you think about your own life because you know he lived his up, man. And a little Sinatra comes to mind, right? He did it his way. And I mean, that's a cool thing. Like, not too many people can just open that gate to allow that. Everybody wants to, but not everybody can. In whether it's today's day and age, the place you're at, the whatever your situation is, all those things. Few of us can. For him, he did. He could. He was in a position where he could. I think guys like him, it didn't matter if he ever broadcasted a game again. He probably had enough money, enough stuff, whatever else, and he just lived his life. But and by the way, we know him as that. There's a whole generation that know him as that. Unbelievable basketball player, like one of the best big men of all time, and played for. And he said it. He even mentioned the Portland Trailblazers. But if you think about UCLA. And the Boston Celtics with Bird and McHale and Parrish and Ainge and all those, he played for two of the best hoop programs and teams of all time. I mean, it's unbelievable, his basketball life alone. And if injuries, I watched him as a kid. Now, he was more, at that time, he was going through injuries. You could tell the knees weren't good and stuff like that, but he was still a really good player. And the smile, I remember watching the broadcast, and man, he'd be on the bench waving that towel for Bird. He was enjoying every minute, whether he was out there or not. That's the Bill Walton I knew before everybody else knew him from the broadcast way.
Yeah, and I highly recommend, I forgot like what it's called, but it's a documentary about UCLA basketball and essentially what Wooden did to build up that program. And the best moment by far is the interactions and the stories between Bill Walton, essentially this larger-than-life giant hippie, and Wooden, who was no nonsense, you know, I mean, old school blue collar, and just their back and forth was amazing. And yeah, once again, bro, like I didn't know Bill Walton, the basketball player, at all. But what I do appreciate him as a sports commentator was he didn't, like what you said, he probably didn't need the money. Probably was good, but I think he loved doing it, and he loved being himself doing it. And whether you're color commentary or play-by-play, I feel like a lot of the times, this is the cool thing about nowadays, right? Like, we celebrate everyone being different and unique.
Yes.
Like, more now than ever, 2024, you have the ability to be unique, speak your truth, do whatever you want to do, and mostly you're going to be embraced by that.
Yeah, be celebrated,
right?
yeah.
You can be celebrated, and that's awesome. That's great. But I feel like even, like, in the journalism medium, in the sports medium, like, you still kind of have to put yourself in a box to try to make it. Whether you're a former athlete or whether you're a play-by-play, like, there's a certain box you got to fit in. You got to say things a certain way. You got to do things a certain way. Bill Walton was never in that box.
No.
Bill Walton was the rare one who decided, I'm going to do things my way. If you like it, cool. If you don't, I really don't care. And that, to me, is what I'll celebrate most about Bill Walton, is the fact of, like you said, the guy did it his own way, never put himself in a box, and guess what? He had fun every single time he was calling a game. And, like, I get it. Some people got rubbed the wrong way about it. Like, what's this guy there's a game going on. But I enjoyed it. Like, I enjoy anybody who's passionate, who's having fun of what they're doing. And I don't care what the job is. Like, if you work at McDonald's and you're cheery and you're happy and you say what's up, dude, I celebrate you, because that's rare in this world for a job. So, yeah, man, Bill Walton was one of a kind. Dude was a gem. He was outside the box, man, and I'm going to miss him for sure.
Yeah, I think everybody is. I think he enjoyed it, but you enjoyed it too. Like, that's the thing. Like, that's kind of a very cool thing and a rare space to be in. So the late Bill Walton at 71 years old. Hey, the one thing, he probably could smile all the way to the end of it, because he left an impact on a lot of people. Holy cow. In a different way, which is really cool. Speaking of hoops now, the NBA Celtics sweep. And looks like we got a really good chance to get Celtics Mavs coming up, which I think is going to be really good.
Yeah, no, for sure. Listen, I mean, I think a lot of people saw the Celtics doing their thing, right? They're just too talented. Tyrese Halliburton going out too,
and the Pacers
help
missed some opportunities.
And exactly, and Rick Carlisle under a lot of scrutiny for some of the calls, some of the clock management, calling timeouts, things like that. So he's getting some well-deserved scrutiny as well. So listen, when you're in those close nail-biter games, Brent, and obviously you're neck to neck right now with a very dominant team, you can't have the missteps. You can't have the turnovers. You can't have the questionable coaching decisions. You have to do everything by the book, do everything right. And unfortunately, the Pacers haven't done that. And the other side of the league in the Western Conference is where all the fireworks and craziness is happening. And listen, I'll be the first one to say I was wrong. I thought the Timberwolves could man up Luka. I thought Kyrie Irving could get shut down with their defense, the best defense in the league in the regular season, Timberwolves, and couldn't be any farther from the truth.
Yeah, it's just not happening.
And when you have a guy in the first game call Ant Edwards, he calls out Kyrie saying, "I'm going to lock him down," and you do the exact opposite, it kind of sets a precedent, I feel like, for the rest of the series. And this is, like, listen, Kyrie's been playing outstanding, but this series, to me, has cemented Luka Doncic as a top 5 player, if not a top 3 player in the NBA right now, because this guy, whether it's a game winner, whether it's, fourth quarter against Rudy Gobert getting in his face, like, this guy has now, and keep in mind, he was always a top 10 player. But for me now, just putting the team on his back, the intensity, hey, guys, I'm going to get us there. Don't worry about it. It speaks volumes against a very talented Timberwolves defense.
Listen, I think I was thinking of this a lot. I don't watch a ton of the NBA stuff, but the Luka stuff is really good, in my opinion, for the game. Like, he's been a talented player. He gets, like, headline stuff. He has moments where it's like, whoa. But you want these guys to be in these spots. We just said it. Joker had it for the last couple of years. Like, he needed to be in that spot to elevate his profile, his game, for us to learn about him, to appreciate him, all those things. Luka's a little bit like that as well. And I think he gets more headlines. People knew about him. He was coming into the league. He was a bigger deal. But I think this would be great against Boston, because Boston's really good, like, really good. And like Jaylen Brown's playing with a chip. Like, he's mad at the world right now. It's unbelievable. But they're really, really good. They might be a little bit of a reminder of the old Celtics days, quite frankly, at different parts.
Yeah.
But then you get Luka, who I know you're not going to like this, but he is probably the reminder of Larry Bird.
Yeah.
As close as there has been in the last 25 years. We try to get everybody to be like Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson and all these players. Well, there haven't been many Larry Birds that have come around, quite frankly, either.
Yeah.
And Luka's got that kind of game, and he's got the trash talk to back it up. I think the talking that he's doing, these clips that you see now where he's MFing people like on the way down the court, I think it adds to the spice of Luka. And I'll say one more thing about this series.
Yeah.
I think Kyrie Irving going back to Boston is pretty interesting, too. And Kyrie has a chance to kind of resurrect himself, as he's already doing, it looks like, since the Cleveland days, because he got lost on the journey.
Yeah, listen, I'm not trying to stereotype European players, but, like, you think of European players, okay, you think of Joker. And, like, this is a guy who I celebrate. A lot of people, I think, celebrate him just for his demeanor of, like, listen, on the court, he's a silent assassin. Like, you don't see Joker talking smack. You don't see Joker even really getting, like, emotional. He's a trained killer, man. Yeah. And he's a back-to-back MVP winner for that reason. I remember, like, Dirk. Dirk, dude, essentially won an entire championship against LeBron James and his big three by himself.
And changed the game.
But, like, you never saw Dirk, like, get super intense and, like, talk smack. Doesn't do that. Well, then you have this guy with Luka coming along against, a very high-profile, polarizing team, the Timberwolves, who Ann Edwards likes to talk, let's be honest. You have KAT, who, is a polarizing player in himself. And to me, like, the quintessential, to sum it all up, Brent, you mentioned it, was when Luka, I think they were down by 2. And they switched. Rudy Gobert was on Luka, and a couple seconds left in the game, and Luka hits the game-winning 3. And during that moment, Defensive Player of the Year versus Luka, like, it wasn't like fist pump, all right, be respectful, go back. No, he goes, hey, bleeper, you can't bleeping guard me. And when I say, like, bleep, he is screaming it at the top of his lungs, not just, like, under his breath. No, he's screaming it. And that, to me, is just, once again, the quintessential, like, this guy could be the future now. And he's so unassuming. You see him, you look at him, he wouldn't be picked in the top 10 in terms of YMCA league. Like, you look at him, it's just like,
it's unbelievable.
This guy's not a hooper. But, man, he has that skill set, number one, but he has also that intensity that I think sometimes European basketball players lack a little bit. And that's why, like, I think the Timberwolves were so fun, because you have Ant Edwards waving by in Denver and saying all these controversial things. Well, Luka now has taken what, made Minnesota a must-watch, team and amplified it to the nth degree.
Yeah, he's really, again, I think that persona, that attitude, that stuff that we're seeing, not say it wasn't there. I think it's elevated, though. I think it's escalated a little bit. It's like, what about me?
Yeah.
It's a little... Like, and we got 2 guys saying, what about me?
Yeah.
Jaylen Brown for the Celtics, and maybe you could even say it about Kyrie Irving and others. I mean, the Celtics team might be saying that based on some of their disappointment. So I think it actually sets up, now, assuming they close it out, to be a fascinating finals.
But it's so funny. And, like, Gobert didn't, like, I get it. Gobert is center, has no business being on the perimeter trying to guard Luka. But, like, it was almost like Luka was so offended. This is like Jordan-esque.
Yeah.
Luka was so offended that Gobert tried to guard him, that he hits this 3-point shot and then, like, lets him know. But, like, he was offended. He was offended that this Defensive Player of the Year, who's like 7 feet tall, thinks he can stop me. And you know what? I'm going to hit the ball in his face, and then I'm going to let him know about it after. That's Jordan stuff right there.
It is. Yeah. So it's pretty wild. I think we're going to get a good one. And I guess in the shadows of even like a guy like Mark Cuban and his franchise, right? I mean, getting back to that stage. So I think it has a chance to be really, really good in the NBA playoffs. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. We got to get to some more press Taylor on a couple players and Doug Pederson. I want to get to that sound. Jags are off the field at their OTAs. Later tonight, we'll catch up with Gabe Davis, by the way, on CBS 47 and Fox 30. So we got a lot to go. And don't forget, tomorrow, 1 o'clock, Cup Date with Stuart Weber. Racing has been pretty wild. They didn't get the 1100 in this time around. 1:30, a week with Action Sports Jacks with Olivia Tassily. And then at 2 o'clock, we have the Stripe Show podcast, different than no gate fees. We'll go talk a little golf at 2 o'clock with Travis Fulton and Then on Thursday, we're going to have a special Committed to the Uncommitted show at 2 o'clock as well. So we got a lot of good programming here coming up. Those are things that you just find on Action Sports Jax 24/7 network, because you can find that on actionnewsjax.com and the Action News Jax app. It's a new logo, new branding. With Bold City Heating and Air, it's an old school approach. One of the few locally owned and operated air conditioning businesses left in Jacksonville. It's hot, Florida in the summer. You can't do much to avoid it, but you can keep cool with Bold City Heating and Air. It's every customer counts kind of service, from when these trucks have pulled up to my home over the last couple of years and when they pull into your driveway as well. From communication to pricing to the actual service, everyone at Bold City Heating and Air cares about you. You know who is coming to your house. You know they will be well trained, and they will respect your home. Air conditioning convenience at boldcityac.com. Stay cool while it gets hot. Bold City Heating and Air can help. Don't get caught sweating all summer. boldcityac.com, and they have financing to help. New systems starting at $110 a month and $50 off any repairs. Stay safe, stay comfortable with Bold City Heating and Air at boldcityac.com. Homegrown in your hometown.
Do you have ugly concrete around your home or business? Are you tired of concrete that is cracked, stained, or just plain ugly? Spartan Coatings' range of products provides a surface that is non-porous, easy to clean, antibacterial, and slip-resistant, all with superior durability.
Living in Florida nearly my whole life, I know the toll our weather can take on a garage floor. That's why I had Matt and the crew from Spartan Coatings transform this space. And the best part? They did it in one day.
It was a professional process from step one. The polyurea and polyaspartic system provides superior flexibility, is 4 times stronger than epoxy coatings, and will withstand temperatures high and low. Plus, it comes with a 20-year warranty. Whether it's a garage floor, patio, pool deck, driveway, or your interior flooring, Spartan Coatings has you covered. To get started transforming your ugly concrete surfaces, call 904-671-3930 or visit SpartanCoatings.com today for your free quote.
In Northeast Florida, we love hanging out on the back patio, maybe grilling out lunch or dinner with the family, enjoying the good weather, or maybe enjoying the big game on the TV. Or maybe your favorite team in town, the Action Sports Jax team. This is great, except for when it's really hot or the bugs start coming out. But what if you didn't have to worry about that? Titan Outdoor Solutions will make your outdoor area a comfortable spot any time of the day, any time of the year. This makes too much sense. Titan Outdoor Solutions can give your home an upgrade. Customized pergolas, awnings, controlled shade, even retractable screens. The solution to beating the heat and the bugs and getting more use out of your home is Titan Outdoor Solutions. And this can even help prevent storm damage at your home. Living in Florida and living in your home is already good. Now make it great. Quality products, custom work, locally owned and operated. Visit TitanShuttersAndScreens.com or call 904-484-7580.
Hey everyone, Olivia Tasley here from Action Sports Jax to tell you all the different ways you can watch our new 24/7 network. 3 easy steps. You don't even need a pen and paper to write it down. Step number 1, download the app. Search Action News Jax in your app store, either on your phone or your smart TV. Then, once you're on the app, click on that little drop-down menu in the upper left-hand corner with the 3 little lines. That'll show you these options, and boom, right here, click Action Sports Jax 24/7, and you will be brought to our continuous stream channel. That app can be accessed through all these different platforms. Whether you have Roku, Fire TV, Smart TV, Apple TV, or Google TV, you can find our app. Now, if you don't have access to the app, don't worry, we still got you covered. We're across all social media platforms, from Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, Twitch. We have a podcast channel. Plus, check out our short reels on our TikTok. Action Sports Jax 24/7. It's on all the time and everywhere.
It's the place we party in football season with Jaguars All Access. Welcome to Spring Sports Brewery, everybody. Say hello to our guest tonight. That is Trevor Lawrence. You can bring your party or event to Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield any day and any time. Rehearsal dinners, corporate events, birthdays. Here at Strings, you can enjoy the inside area and the outside area. Good for any weather, good for any occasion. Watch the games, play the games, shoot some hoops. Beer? Yeah, they have that. Plenty of choices. And sure, this is a brewery, but Strings is also a restaurant, and the food is fantastic. a full menu made from scratch meals. And if you need String Sports Brewery to help with a party at your place, they cater too. Family, beer, food, sports. Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Hey, can you talk, Austen, and tell everybody that you're behind?
Oh, I am behind here, yeah.
Me?
But it's good to know, like, if I have to like quick mob out here, something comes up, I can just leave and have Brent's cut out right there, so no one can really see if I'm here or not. I always have a bunch of like pre-recorded sound bites you can play, and people never know.
That is true, actually. You can't see any of you right now.
No,
My head
I
is
like
so
this.
big.
Yeah,
I mean, look at the juxtaposition of like real me versus that me.
yeah.
That's how big of an ego we have.
Hey,
we just have these around the building.
Hey, Bleak Bills, when the show's done, I'm going to come back to record just some sound bites I can have, so that way people won't know I'm actually gone or if I'm here. Like, well, you got to run the football. The game is won and lost in the trenches.
It'll be like Madden.
Yeah, it'd be like Madden.
You just do like voiceovers.
Yeah, exactly. When is Trent Baalke going to have a gem in the later rounds?
Yeah.
Hopefully soon.
When
There
the
it is.
Jags going to get a kicker?
When are the Jaguars going to get a kicker?
Should we really pay Trevor Lawrence $56 million?
I'm going that one. Brent, it's not about the money. What does the money say? Top 3 quarterback paid? Is he a top 3 quarterback right now? I'm not sure. Oh, all the gems, all the greatest hits
Could
coming from
definitely
me.
fill 15 minutes at the very least.
Oh, without a doubt.
Brent Martineau, Austen Lane, and there's a segment over there happening. I just don't know what it's going to be yet.
Yeah, let's
We got to figure something out.
Let's go and
We just
brainstorm
landed
it.
on that today on a Tuesday.
I'm gonna bring my cutout in, man, and we'll go from there.
Good to have Rob with us here on a Tuesday as well. Again, tomorrow we'll be at Furniture Source in the Town Center, so come on out, say hello. It'll be our first time over at the Town Center location, hanging out. Last time we were hanging out on those recliners, you all got jealous. So hopefully you get jealous again, come hang out on the recliners with us. Maybe buy one too at Furniture Source in the Town Center. Hey, let's hear some sound from the Jags. Want to get to this. We've been all over the place. A lot going on after this longer weekend. And Rob, let's hear from Press Taylor about Brian Thomas Jr. because this is a guy that's, once we've seen him out in the field, he moves really well. He's got everybody excited. He could really change the dynamic of this team with the long ball. I mean, he's got a history of doing that. We thought Calvin Ridley might be able to do that too, or even Zay Jones. They didn't really do it to the degree we thought they could. Some of that might have been a bit of the offensive line. Some of that might have been the scheme. We think Brian Thomas and Gabe Davis are going to be able to do it. Here's Press Taylor, the offensive coordinator, talking about the rookie.
Brian's done a great job. I mean, Brian's what we expected. He's long, he's fast, he's smart. And so those things have shown up just early on of getting him involved. He's spending a lot of meeting time with Chad and being around Christian, being around Gabe, who not necessarily knows our system, but knows the NFL and what things are going to look like. I think it's been really good for him. You see, obviously, the intelligence and the quick twitch and the long speed show up throughout, our practices right now as we go through things or even routes on air. He grows every single day. He's a guy that's very easy to communicate with just because he is intelligent. Things come naturally to him. Football, I think, comes naturally to him of just learning, picturing concepts, understanding routes, how we're attacking certain coverages. So you see his growth every single day, which is fun to see.
The Jags appear to be very happy with Brian Thomas Jr. and their first impressions of him on the field. I like that. There's good reason for that. You hope you pick your first-round pick, and you like to see that. But I think they're getting validated on some of the things that they thought about him. I'll tell you the one thing that keeps coming back to me. We did an interview with him right after when he landed in Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. He mentioned it. I think you just heard it from Press Taylor. I think we've already heard it from Doug Pederson when it comes to Brian Thomas Jr. And it's football knowledge, football IQ. The Jags, I'm not saying they're bad in that area. I just think when you're a young player and you can be good in that area, that tells me a lot of things because, okay, does he want to be better? Does he know the game? Is he smart? Christian Kirk can get better every year because he knows the game so well. He knows the nuances. Now he's got, hey, I want to be great. Like that part we don't know. Does Brian Thomas want to be great or is he happy to be in the league? We'll find out, right? Mm-hmm. He'll put the work in. But I think he can learn the nuances of the position, seems to soak that part in. People who have a good football IQ or knowledge of games or whatever sport you're playing, they seem to relish that. They seem to use it as an advantage, and they seem to want to be known for that. And I was striking when I met the young man, and he talked about it in a quick little interview, but it's striking that a month and a half later, they're still talking about the same thing.
No, listen, you have my attention. now about Brian Thomas when we talk about the smarts, because you mentioned it when you talked to him. I think Doug Pederson mentioned it, and now Press Taylor spoke very high of the football IQ and the smarts and the way that Brian Thomas learns and what he brings to the table. And I think it is a little eye-opening, at least for me, because when we were breaking Brian Thomas down, whether it's shock or mock or just talking about what some of the draft nicks were saying about him, no one mentioned his ability to learn. Nobody mentioned the IQ. It was all, okay, he's great in his releases. Okay, he can run the route tree, blazing speed, good athleticism, good intangible, all this stuff about a wide receiver. But not once, and once again, I haven't read every single draft write-up. I read a lot of them. Not one thing mentioning about the IQ. Now, sometimes maybe it's hard to put into words, like how would they know, right? Maybe it's all hearsay. You definitely know when a guy's not that smart, or he makes mistakes or off the field issues like that. They have no problem telling you that, but sometimes it's hard to gauge exactly how intelligent, how high IQ a player is. Well, this is the third time now someone's reaffirming just the way that Brian Thomas Jr. learns, and I think it goes hand in hand because, a wide receiver, it's about athleticism, it's about speed, it's about hands, all this stuff, but your ability to get open, sometimes we talked about this last week, Brent, is your ability to diagnose, what defenses are giving you. And we talked about Rob Gronkowski and Travis Kelce. Two classic examples where, do they come across as the most well-spoken, intelligent dudes? Well, Travis Kelce's trying to fight for his right to party all the time, and Rob Gronkowski is just shotgunning beers, it seems like, all the time. But listen, when it comes to that football IQ, they're geniuses. They're Einstein. And listen, I knew Brian Thomas Jr. was going to be a great athlete and a great route runner and a good one receiver, but now just hearing the fact of, this dude's got the IQ to go with it, it only makes you more excited now for Brian Thomas Jr.
Well, and the last part is, I think that helps you maybe acclimate to the NFL game quick, too, because you have a good understanding of it. There's a lot to learn. It's a different game. Like we talk about all the time with, hey, these guys are so athletic, they can just – you can't just transition that to the NFL level. I mean, nobody's that much more athletic than everybody else in the NFL. So if you have the smarts, the IQ, the understanding, the everything else, I think people don't like to talk about this that much because – then you have to talk about it in relation to other guys that you don't think are like that. Yeah. Right? And in this case, what people are probably thinking and not saying, and I'm not going, I think people have an advantage in this spot when they're really good at it. That's what we like to highlight. It doesn't mean the other guy doesn't know football.
Of course.
But I do think we come off a year where people wondered if Calvin Ridley was running the right stuff at times. Right? I mean, that was a conversation piece. And so, are you going to get that? Did the Jags target someone where they weren't going to have to worry about that piece? Was that just a new offense thing? Was that a Calvin Ridley thing? Is that I don't know. But I think it makes you wonder. If we're just being honest, it makes you wonder about, okay, did the Jags fix a little bit of that? And I don't know. We'll find out. He's a young guy. Obviously, there's a lot of built-in knowledge for a guy like Calvin Ridley, an exceptional skill set, too. So I'm not trying to say he's better than. Because the other thing we learn is even if guys aren't 1%ers at the football side of it, the understanding of it, because you got to remember this about the league, and this is one thing I've learned. Not everybody that plays in this league is a great big football fan and has been playing Madden or watching it and consuming it the way we do. Yeah. That's a real thing. Like, this is something that they're very good at. It's their job. They love playing, but they're not necessarily watching every game around the league to see other things. Now, there's Calais Campbell's of the world that watches every football moment that exists.
Listen, I think a classic example of that would be Brent Justin Blackmon. And obviously, he had his own demons he had to get through in the addictions and stuff. But, you talk about a guy who was never really in the weight room, not doing anything extra. I don't think really enjoyed the game of football. But when he was on the field, when the pads were on, when the lights were the brightest and he was out there, he was a top 5 receiver in the NFL.
Yeah.
It's
he
just
could play the game.
He could play the game.
And so what I say about that is there are ways when other guys aren't as studious, if you will, or students of the game, or maybe going to be coaches. There's ways to work around it because they're so gifted. But when you're gifted and you have that trait, man, that's a nice thing. That's a nice combo. So we'll see if how good Brian Thomas said that. I love the way he's moving. I like hearing this kind of stuff out of the Jags. Seems to validate their pick in the first round. His performance will sooner or later validate it the most. Hey, let's talk Tank Bigsby a little for a second here with Press Taylor. Bigsby's an interesting guy. Obviously one that's been, I thought, paraded a little bit. Now, not everybody agreed with me on that, but I thought it was well received when he got drafted from the fans. I thought a lot of people were hyped up about him, and then obviously very critical of him. And now what? What is year 2 going to be like for Tank Bigsby? We've had a lot of conversations about it. We think it could be an interesting piece and an important piece, maybe just as much as Devin Lloyd on the defensive side. You could identify those 2 players on this football team as being very important to the Jags' success or maybe ceiling here in 2024 of where they could go on both sides of the football field. Here's what Press Taylor had to say about the second-year running back out of Auburn.
I mean, we would have liked to say we'd get more usage, more opportunity for Tank as the season went. Looking back, there's a lot of things that we probably could have done better. Obviously, the goal is not to go 9-8, especially each year we've done that. So you look at a lot of things, you try to be as critical as anything, as everything that you can be. And how do we utilize every single player available to us on game day? I think there's things that Tank could have provided that we maybe didn't give him opportunities to, or maybe we're quick to give Travis another rep on something that probably Tank could have done well for us. But, you live, you learn, you grow from it, and you adapt moving forward. And I think Tank's in a great headspace in terms of where he goes into year 2. And, we're looking to get the most out of him as well.
Very interesting thing you just brought up at the end. You can obviously usage. Did they give up on him? Probably at times. That was crystal clear. They gave up on him in the last half of the season. And then they said, hey, we got to get him back out here for this last game against Tennessee. And he performed pretty nicely in that Tennessee game. But there was, in my opinion, he's in a good headspace, is Tank Bigsby, and I don't blame him for this. This isn't a knock on. He lost his confidence. And therefore, the team lost confidence in him. I think that was plain as day. Mm-hmm. And by the way, that was a tough year, man. He had some stuff happen to him where it's like, whoa. And this is part of the acclamation to the NFL. You have been good all your life. You have been the guy all your life. You have done so many things well. Mm-hmm. Well, what happens when it goes wrong? How do you answer the bell? We had this conversation last week, from Blaine Gabbert to Blake Bortles to even Trevor Lawrence in year 1. How are you going to respond to that? And it's easier said than done.
Yeah.
You're in a space you've never been in before. And I think the team lost confidence in him. I think he did. I mean, there was some goofy stuff happening to Tank Bigsby last year on the field.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. I don't want this to get taken over-embellished or taken the wrong way. But Tank Bigsby might be the most important player in his progress on this offense. And the reason why I say that is because Tank Bigsby has the chance, if he can come out and do his thing and be dependable, to change this entire brand of football for the Jaguars offense, to change the entire identity of the offense. Remember I forgot when we did this, but we kind of broke down who does this team remind you of? Who can they be? Yeah, and I settled on the 2007 New York Giants.
Yep.
And we talk about that defense and their bookends and everything, but what I failed to mention, and what would be a good talking point as well, was the Giants' running game that year. You had Eli. Did he become elite after winning a Super Bowl? Probably, right? But they also had a guy by the name of Brandon Jacobs. They had a guy by the name of Derek Ward. Okay, now, I played against both these people. Brandon Jacobs, he didn't scare you from the fact of Derrick Henry has as the long ball threat, right? Derrick Henry at any point on the 1 yard line of his own or on the 50-yard line can take it to the house. We were never worried about Brandon Jacobs doing that. But what we were worried about, and what you kind of got nervous with Brandon Jacobs, was it was going to be a dogfight. You knew every single time Brandon Jacobs got in the hole, he was going to lower his shoulder, it was going to hurt, it was going to suck because, he was a big type of bruiser. Yeah. And you had to expect, okay, as Jack Del Rio called, a two chin strap type of game. That's what Brandon Jacobs was. Now, Derek Ward at the time, a big guy in his own right, but could be using the passing game a little more. Than eventually they had Ahmad Bradshaw, who was more of the slasher as well. The point that I'm trying to make is when you're playing against Travis Etienne, you're worried about a lot of things. You're worried about the home run ball. You're worried about him in the receiving game. And you should be worried about a little bit between the tackles. But what you're not worried about is him lowering your shoulder, trying to hurt you. You're not worried about that.
No.
Tank Bigsby could be that guy. And if he is that guy, then man, now you have something. I always go back to, we talked about how many times, Brent, Mark Ingram, Alvin Kamara. Yeah, teams are worried about Kamara. You know why? Because the guy can take it to the house like that in the pass game or the receiving game, or in the run game. Mark Ingram, maybe, but guess what? He's going to make it hurt. He's going to lower his shoulder. He's going to deliver punishment. And as a defensive lineman, you hate that. As a linebacker, all right, bring it on, but you hate that. That's what you have an opportunity with Tank Bigsby, but you have to use him accordingly, and he has to have that confidence.
How do you get the confidence back? I mean, you got to give him the reps to get the confidence back. He needs things to go well early in the season. He needs things to go well this time of year. It's easier this time of year, but I'm telling you, maybe it was a little deer in the headlights at times. You can see that. I've been around enough players, and I don't blame him. Again, goofy stuff happening on the field. You think that's a one-off, but he needs some stuff early on. If he can get some confidence, get some momentum, all those things, he can kind of turn it. And the good thing for him, he's in a space where he doesn't need to carry the load, man. He needs to be a complimentary player.
Correct. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we're not asking 25, 30 carries a game.
No.
You're asking for a change of pace, if you will.
Which is good and bad, because when you screw things up and you only get 3 or 4 or 6 touches,
sure,
then it could become huge plays.
And especially if you have a problem with hanging on the football.
Yeah.
Right? Because then that gets in the psyche a little bit. And then that's hard to come back from. But once again,
I'm telling you, go break down the plays that he lost. It's weird.
I know.
The Indy play,
I know.
the one play, I forget, where he was on top of a player that they should have overturned that they didn't. I forget what game. Off the hands, which probably could have been just as much Trevor's fault, but everybody blamed Bigsby. I'm not trying to make excuses for him. I'm just saying some of this stuff was goofy. It was kind of weird.
It was goofy. Didn't help the confidence, obviously. But if I'm Doug Pederson, if I'm Press Taylor, I'm sitting Tank down going, listen, man, we have a great receiving running back in Travis Etienne, right? We have a great burner in Travis Etienne. I don't need you to be Travis Etienne.
Yeah.
Okay? I don't need you to be Saquon Barkley. All I need you to do is lower your shoulder and deliver punishment. And like, if you're running back and your name's Tank, I would be excited to do that.
Absolutely. Do
right?
the job.
Yeah. It's like Debo. Like, listen, Debo, they put him in the backfield. Like, yeah, it's the jet sweeps and everything, but guess what? You know what you're getting with Debo Samuel. He's going to lower his shoulder and deliver punishment.
Hey, Rob, I'm going to put you on the spot. 30 seconds to go. Can we put a spot in to end the show? And we're going to end the show in 25 seconds. You give me thumbs up if you think you can do it. A little bit different today. I wanted to get to another break, and so we'll use it here at the end of the show. Tomorrow we're going to be at Furniture Source. A lot of fun conversation today. Check out the podcast to Brent and Austen, Action Sports Jacks. You can subscribe to it. You can always watch the show, and you can see the show again today on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. Have a good Tuesday, everybody. See you at Furniture Source tomorrow in the Town Center. New to town or always been in town? Everyone is always looking for a good pizza place. Our place is Donato's Pizza. We love it and still do love it. When I tell my family I'm coming to Donato's, they say, wait a minute, you got to order some for us. So this is not all for me. Let me tell you what the Martinos get when we put an order in. Well, pepperoni pizza, we usually get more than one of these. And then there's the works, a little bit of everything. And then this is the pizza that can be polarizing for some out there. I don't know why. Hawaiian pizza. Some love it, some don't. At Donato's, you're going to love it, especially with that cinnamon sprinkled on top. Try the pizza my family likes or try your favorite. Right now, you can use the code BRENT20 and get 20% off your order. Every viewer and listener is important to us, and at Donato's Pizza, every piece is important. From fresh ingredients to the dedicated team members and you, the valued customer. Donato's Pizza, where every piece comes together for a winning combination. Jack's Beach and Mandarin locations. Donato's Pizza, every piece is important.
People helping people is at the core of what Alive Credit Union is all about, and it's been that way for over 70 years. From 1954 to 2024, the mission remains to inspire financial wellness and give you a financially fit lifestyle. Alive Credit Union and its employees are committed to not only serving their valued members, but also our community here in Northeast Florida. That commitment includes a partnership with the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 team as the presenting sponsor of all Armada men's and women's broadcasts this summer. Action Sports Jacks and Alive Credit Union, a partnership that just makes sense when it comes to covering Northeast Florida. Alive Credit Union's commitment to our community also involves serving the financial needs of our first responders through the recent merger partnership with City and Police Federal Credit Union. Join the community and become a member of Alive Credit Union today. Find out the many ways you can be inspired in financial wellness at alivecu.coop.
I've been telling you about CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing for a long time now. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We've had a Connecticut water softener and drinking water system in our home for more than 7 years. You can see the difference whether you're washing clothes, the dishes, or what I like to do most, fill this up for some coffee every morning. And mostly all day. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. Right now, you can save $1,000 or more when you bundle the Kinetico Premier Softener with a Kinetico K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Kinetico water treatment solutions so you can improve it. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Financing options available with approved credit. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Kinetico dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
The Action Sports Jax 24/7 network is streaming. I'm Stuart Weber, and I'm here to teach you a nice 3-step process on how you can watch all your favorite programming from the Brent and Austen show every weekday 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. or the Cup Date with me. It's fantastic. We talk NASCAR. It's a great time. Wednesdays at 1 o'clock. All right, first step, easy. Download the Action News Jax app. You probably already have it downloaded on your phone, so you might already have that one taken care of. Step 2, see that stack of pancakes up there? You click that stack of pancakes, and it's going to bring down step number 3, which is a full screen of all the different streams that you can click on, including the Action Sports Jax 24/7 stream. You click that, the video's rocking and rolling on your mobile device. You're watching all the shows you want to, and you're having a good time. You can also do it on your smart TV with the Action News Jax Now app. I do it on my Samsung TV at home. It's a great way to watch it on a nice, large screen for all the content. That's the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Hope you can find it.
We all have our favorite spots in town to eat, drink, and have a good time. And once in a while, we try a new spot. This new spot will soon become your favorite spot. It's 1937 Spirits and Eatery in San Marco. Where else can you get unicorn fish? It was really good. They have local fresh seafood. Try a terrific burger or a Jack's Hot Chicken sandwich. The ambiance is perfect for any occasion. The idea here is to have fun, have a good time. Whether you're chilling out on the couches, cozying up to the bar, having lunch or dinner, it's a throwback experience. 1937, when going out to dinner was like going to a party. They even have a photo booth. Who doesn't like a good photo booth? We recently brought the entire team out to try it, and everyone said, I'm bringing my significant other here to try it as well. The new spot becomes your favorite spot. Make 1937 Spirits and Eatery in San Marco your new favorite spot.